Chip, 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 chip. You already know it's your boy Joe back at it again. Codingphase.com. Your boy's backing out and did it again one more time, guys. God damn, we got a lot of people in here, man. This is like the all-star team, man. We got a lot of people in here, man. Okay, let's get it, man. For real, man. So we're going to start this off like this, guys. We're going to have a couple of questions, right? And then from there, we're going to jump into everybody to answer them. If you guys have never been here before, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click on the description. In there is the links of everybody's channel and social media accounts. So definitely go follow them. Okay, so let's just get into it and let's start introducing everybody in here. Okay, so we got a squad, man. Yeah, man. Code Stories, what up, man? Introduce yourself. Let the people know who you is.
Yo, what's up? How are you guys? Yeah, my name is Nathaniel. I'm 34 years old, living in Germany, Berlin, and married, 2 kids. The third one is on the way. And yeah, I started teaching myself how to code in 2017. Out of curiosity, just wanted to know how deep the rabbit hole goes in in tech. And yeah, so I started learning web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then later on, I dived into iOS development and started working for one of the largest food delivery company in the world, Just Eat Takeaway. And so I switched to this company, started working there as a IT supporter, and then later on I switched to iOS development. So it took me 1.5 years, but it was a hell of a ride, and I really enjoyed it. And so at the beginning of this year, I started my YouTube channel, Code Stories, and it's been amazing. So I'm really happy to be a part of this. And I'm looking at some of the faces here, my heroes in software development, and being part of it. Being part of
top, man.
Is amazing.
You already know, man. Welcome to the squad, bro. You already know this is gonna be lit, man. How about you, Danny? Introduce yourself real quick. Let everybody know.
Hey, everybody. I'm D. Thompson Dev. I am a professional swimmer. No, I'm just playing. This body is not made for swimming at all. No, I am a software developer. I come from a background of frying chicken at gas stations, and I learned how to code, ended up changing my life. And now I'm really focused on the fact that I'm trying to help others do the same thing. I've helped over 100 people land their very first jobs in tech, and I'm trying to increase that number tenfold if possible. To be honest, I'm kind of with Nathaniel. I was on the last panel. I'm on this panel. These are people that I genuinely looked up to. I love the fact that, and I'm a very big believer in this, I hope everyone works hard enough to where their inspirations become their peers, and I'm grateful to be among my peers now. So very happy to be here.
Nice. How about you, Jesse? CodeSTACKr.
Yeah. Hey. So I've been coding for over 20 years, but started the YouTube channel about a year ago. Do mostly front end stuff on the YouTube channel. As a professional, I'm a full stack developer. On the YouTube channel, focusing on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, that sort of stuff. So yeah, just happy to be here.
How about you, Dorian, man? Introduce yourself, man. Get in
What's
there.
going on, everybody? My name is Dorian Dominguez. I run a YouTube channel called Dorian Develops. I started it early this year, where I just kind of talk about how I learned how to code. I'm 100% self-taught. It's funny because I remember watching Coding Phase when I was learning how to code, and it's pretty crazy to be on this panel right now. I'm super excited, and I'm just really happy to be here and be part of all this. It's a little surreal, but yeah, just that's pretty much it. I'm a full stack developer now and been doing that for the last 3 years professionally, and learned how to code about 4 years ago. So.
All right, man. Erik, welcome back. We got your boy Erik back in the channel. Tell your boy what's good. Let the people know who you is, Erik, just in case they never heard of you.
Yeah. Thanks. I run a channel called Program with Erik. I do a lot of videos on Vue.js, a lot of videos on just developer advice, Node.js. So that's kind of what I'm really passionate about, and like teaching that is the topics I like. And also I do have a more traditional CS background. I know a lot of self-taught developers are here on this video right now, on this live show. So I definitely have a little bit more of that background too. So I can bring that. And I also am a full stack software developer.
So I'll just jump in then. So I'm Dennis Ivanov. I have the channel Dennis Ivy, and I taught myself to code about 3 years ago, watching my heroes like Brad Traversy, Sean from the Net Ninja. I had this job where I wanted to create my own position. I built out the system for my company. We ended up running the company on the system that I taught myself to and built, and then eventually ended up selling that system to the company. Now I just teach people Django, want to go into full stack development. And yeah, that's about it. So for 3 years, kind of went through that process, taught myself, and now I teach online.
Nice. So I'm Jessica. I do Coder. It's the name of my YouTube channel, and I run a blog. But I've been a web dev for about 8 years. I'm sort of self-taught / learned on the job, mainly working in advertising and marketing. But basically coding changed my life for the better. And I kind of wanted to do the same thing. And that's why I created Coder. So yeah, excited to talk to everybody.
Hello, my name is Ania. I am also a software developer and YouTuber. I started out making all sorts of online retro games like Tetris, Space Invaders, Doodle Jumps, all the sort of popular ones in pure JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And now I'm sort of starting to create more React Native tutorials too. So my background's actually in finance. I used to be a broker, so sort of like a stockbroker, but in the commodity markets. I did that for a while, but then realized it just wasn't really for me. I sort of lacked that creativity that I was sort of needing. I started my own business, which was an e-commerce business. And that is sort of when I started to really sort of get the developer bug. It started out just because we had one of those like simple templates, which was like Weebly or Wix, but like those didn't even exist back then. It was like really, really bad. So I started messing around with HTML and CSS, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, tell me, teach me more. And here I am today, teaching as well. So yeah, that's me. Hello.
Hey, man, we got the squad, man. Everybody that you see here, guys, these are rock stars. These guys are everybody that is in here. They got very good skills. You know, this is people that, you know, you can really trust their opinions, really trust their advice. You know, everybody that's in here is here for a reason. Like, we don't come in and just pick people under a bridge. We're bringing the all-stars to Coding Phase. You get it? All right, guys. So we're going to start it off like this, right? I'm actually going to do a little flip on the layout of how we have everything in here. So I'm going to flip Coder right here. I'm going to flip Ania right here. We're going to flip, I think we're good there, right? It's a pretty good number like that, so everybody could just, you know, people don't be like, damn, why you put her on last? Oh, this is that, right? We're not going to complain, right? So it is what it is. I know people just hit me up on the demons like, come on, you got Ania and everybody in last. All right, listen, we're going to split it up. So it is what it is, guys. Let's start with the first question. This is super simple, right? But this is something that everybody always asks, right? Which is, what new types of projects can you do as a junior developer, right? Like something that can make you competitive in the game right now as a developer. If you're a junior developer, like what advice will you give Cold Stories, right?
Well, I think when it comes to project, it's impossible to come up with something that's new, right? You cannot come up with something that nobody has ever done before, or something that's already out there in the market. So I think the best thing to do is just make sure that your project, whatever it is, has, let's say, covers the main concept of software development, right? You have something that where you can interact with an API, you can interact with a database. And so having something like that can really bring you far than just creating a calculator app or something that's very simple as that. So there's no, let's say, the ultimate or the number one project you can do that that can guarantee you a job. It's just having that that app or that project that has, like I said before, the concept of software development, the major concept. Does it have object-oriented domains inside, like encapsulation, abstraction? What else do we have? polymorphism? Does it have inheritance? Like you have JavaScript in it, all right, then we definitely have object-oriented programming. We have HTML, then we have something you have to do with CSS, and that's going to be web development, but I'm an iOS developer, so if you want to do iOS development, then you definitely have to do something with, let's say, Firebase. That's really, really nice. You can do something with Firebase. If you want to do iOS development, you do Swift UI, for example. So anything that has, let's say, any, how should I put it? Anything that has the main concept of software development, it's really good.
Nice. So let's jump into the coder. What you think? What's a good project that you would say if a junior developer comes up to you and say, "Hey man, I'm just trying to stand out here. Like, what project should I do?"
Yeah. There's a lot out there. I think I have kind of been on the other side of interviews for developers and just seeing, the portfolios and resumes and things like that. And I think the biggest piece of advice I'd have for project choice is just try to make yourself stand out. Just because there's so many Trello clones out there, like weather apps, try to think of an idea that not as many people may have done before, whether it's just solving a problem that, comes up in your own life, like, I don't know, creating some program to track your water usage in your house, or something that will help you in real life. I think, it can only help you to stand out when you're in that sort of interview process and trying to land jobs.
Definitely jump in there, Jesse.
Yeah, so like Code Story said, like everything's been done pretty much. So whatever you pick to do, whether it's even if it's a to-do app, that's been overdone. Like everybody does a to-do app. But if you're gonna pick that, put your own spin on it. Do something unique with it, make it stand out. And honestly, a to-do app is a great project because it encompasses all the front end stuff. You got all the back end stuff for databases, hosting. You could do everything with that app. Just do something to make it unique, whatever it is that you pick.
Yeah, I guess just to add to that, I guess figure out what it is you're trying to do. If you're trying to be front end, then focus on front end projects. If you're focusing on UI development, make sure that it looks really good. If you're doing HTML, CSS, and that kind of stuff. If you want to be more of a full stack developer, make sure you implement CRUD functionality and you communicate with databases. If you're trying to be Jamstack, work with an API. Find an API that you're interested in and see if you can do something fun with it that hasn't been done. Try to get creative. I'm terrible at that. I'm not creative. I go down like the list of like easy beginner projects to do. And that's what I did when I was building my portfolio. And it all consisted of weather widgets and calculators and pretty much everything that was on Free Code Camp. But really, it's if you're creative, try to be as creative as you can within your skills at the time, and then just keep trying to build on top of those things. And once you feel comfortable with some of the stuff that you built, you can go out and find other projects to build, or try to go back to old projects that you built, a few months before, and see what you can add to those from the skills that you've developed after, continuing to learn for a few months, and see and revisit those and see what you can do with them to spruce them up a little bit and make them a good conversation piece. Because really in interviews, you want to just have something that you can talk about and explain what you did and your thought process behind it and why you chose to do certain things on them. So.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Joe, this. I don't 100% agree that you have to create like a portfolio site if you're a junior developer. I think showing passion in your job, like Dorian said, could be a lot of different ways. It could be a YouTube channel. It could be something like really interesting that you've created that's not a portfolio at all. It could be showing that, I've done interviews and talked to people where they were really interested in Star Wars and we just geeked out about it for like a few minutes and like, wow, that's really cool. I mean, it doesn't show their skills in web development, but it shows that they're passionate about things. So, I think I agree with everybody here, but I think you don't have to go down that path of having to create like something like a web page or a portfolio. I think you can show your passion for web development different ways. And also like networking, like just talking to like the recruiter beforehand, getting to know people in the like trying to get your foot in the door of an interview sometimes is the hardest part of this whole thing. And then once you get your foot in the door, you can then do a whole lot of things to impress your interviewer, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a portfolio.
So I'm going to go a bit left field with this one. The company that I was working for, we received a lot of, I guess, submissions, people given a task, they did the task, great. However, what really stood out was when people really made an effort with their GitHub repo README, right? They went to town on explaining, they made sure that everything was super clear, they made sure that it was really presentable so that we then viewed it and knew exactly what was going on, got to know that little person a little bit better, and just saw the care that they gave. I think that is something that, like, if you're applying for a job, if you've got a project, make sure to really like up your game on the README.
Sorry, I was muted. So I'm a big believer in the portfolio because I've seen the results. And if the entire world is saying, hey, you need to do this, there's probably some benefit and value to that idea. So with that being said, I have 4 steps to become a developer, regardless of your background, whether you're coming from CS degree or not. The very first step is you have to have a good LinkedIn profile. 675 million users every month are on that website, of which 90 million are hiring managers, recruiters, and decision makers for businesses. You need to stand out where they hang out. It's as simple as that. If they all hung out at a bar, I tell you to go to that bar. If they all hung out at a restaurant, I tell you to go to that restaurant. So if they're all on LinkedIn, that's where you need to be. Number 2, you have to have a good portfolio site. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be very technical savvy, but it does need to be appealing to the eye, and I will tell you why. Most hiring managers have never written a line of code a day in their life. Simple as that. So by having an attractive portfolio site, they will trust it on a subliminal level, and then they will pass that off to the manager that is overseeing that role. And that manager will then look at number 3, your portfolio items. You don't need 50 items. You don't need every single YouTube tutorial or Udemy course that you've ever done in their projects. You need just 1, 2, maybe 3 projects on there that show that you know what you're talking about. They de-risk you as a candidate, and they basically say you have this command over the language and the proof is in the pudding, and here you go. Step number 4, you got to have a resume. You got to pass the ATS software. So make sure you're applying those keywords for that job role in that software. With that being said, I think the projects that will help you stand out, the very first one that I always talk about is having a website very similar to overstock.com. Multiple products across multiple pages that can be searched, and a shopping cart function. You don't need to code out the entire checkout process, but you do need to have that. If they click on a product, it ends up in a shopping cart, and that they can see that. And this is obviously not a 2-hour project. It's going to be a little bit of work, but that is the kind of project you can talk about in an interview. That is the kind of project that you can show off in an interview. That is the kind of project that shows that you know how to develop, whether it's using API to put that information there, or whether it's using JSON requests, whatever it may be. You're doing something and you're performing a skill that will make you stand out. Another project, a good friend, Bobby Davis Jr. always talks about, is a bug tracker, kind of like a Jira board. You have multiple sections where it shows that's in development, that is currently being worked on, and you can drag that ticket along. The last one that I always recommend is a website for a restaurant / like a realtor. Like, these are the houses I'm currently selling. If you can showcase that information on like cards, and it's a very good user interface, that will help you out a lot.
Definitely. Let's go into my boy Dennis. What's good, Dennis?
So I liked what Danny said, and I liked what Eric said. Like, combine those two, and I would say any project from like a hiring manager's perspective. So I've been in that position where I've interviewed candidates, and I've gotten the list of the to-do apps and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that, depending on what you're applying for. But I would say the best thing that can stand out is going to be a project that you build on your own. Now, Danny, you listed out a couple of examples, but I know from my case, when I brought my project, the thing that I built to interviews, whether that job requirement had a CS degree on there or whatever was going on in that interview, the second they heard about my project and it wasn't something that they seen from everyone else, that controls the interview. Danny, we talked about this in our last live stream. When you can control the interviewer or the interview, when the interviewer is curious about your project, when they're starting to ask you questions, you're not going into this Q&A forum or just back and forth like a tennis ball. You're actually having a real conversation, and you're not one of many candidates that's applying for the same position, giving them the same answers. So controlling the interview with your own project. Now, the specifics, that I would say it's anything that you thought of or created. It doesn't have to be something that you invented, something that you elaborated on and customized, but made it your own, something you took from idea to production without following step by step.
Yeah, man, that was some good questions, man, and some answers. All right, so I got one for Dennis, since we already here with you, right? How difficult is it to get hired as a Python developer with no degree?
I wouldn't say it was difficult at all, based on my experience now, from what I've been able to do. Like, once you have that experience, no one, like I said, I've applied for jobs, probably half of them had computer science degree listed on it, and I was able to bypass that just because of my experience there. Now, as a Python developer, I've never applied for a job beyond what I've already done. And that was that one job where I kind of created my own position. So Python solved the problem. I think that it can pretty much build whatever you want to with the web frameworks or anything for data science. I would say it's probably the most in demand as far as technologies and what you can do with it. So yeah, that's been my experience, at least. I just created my own position, but it seems like there's a lot of people hiring for Python. Now, it depends on your area, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that that's like one of those situations where I really like how you answer even the last one, because I agree with you almost 100% on that, in the sense of you want to go in there with a project that shows all of your skills, but you also take control of the conversation by having something that not everybody shows up with, right? Or you can really explain. Sometimes I see people in their portfolios, they have projects that they've done in courses or have done with YouTube or an instructor or Udemy, whoever it might be, and then they ask them like, hey, so why you guys chose this technology? Why do you guys go with React instead of Vue.js? Or why do you jump on Angular instead of Backbone or something, right? And if the person is like you didn't make that decision. It's more like, oh, I just followed this course and we just did this here. And it's like, now this is the exact same thing that almost everybody goes in there with. But if you go in there comfortable and you could say, you know what, man, this is what we use, right? I use PHP. I also wanted to be able to have a structure to my project. I use Laravel in the back end. Then from there, I decided to use React. I'm more comfortable with React. I like how the React router works, etc. Right? Now you have control of the conversation, and the person knows, like, okay, he knows what he's talking about, and it wasn't just like I just followed, some tutorial out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
now,
to tailor to the people that actually did copy projects. One of the things that I liked is anytime I saw a project that was based on a tutorial was when they were able to elaborate and say that, maybe explain what they liked about the tutorial. Like you said, I liked how they used the router instead of, X or whatever. But that way they're able to show me, even though they just copied it, didn't have to invent their own thing, that they understood it, and they can even call out a flaw in that tutorial. Say the tutorial had a bug here, but I was able to fix this. Now you're still able to control the conversation, even if it's not yours. So I guess just a little hack there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, another thing that somebody just asked right now, this is Waxel. He said, do all tech jobs have tech interviews and whiteboarding? Can you guys go in, it doesn't have to be in order, but somebody go ahead and jump in first, and then everybody else that wants to input into this question, y'all can jump in after. So I'm going to start with Ania. Let's start with Ania, just to start with somebody.
Well, as far as all my interviews are gone, yes, there have been tech interviews, and I have been asked to whiteboard. I think, like if you are going for a profession that is you have to produce something, it is wise to have someone, test you if you can produce these things. I know it's really nerve-wracking. I myself have been very nerve-wracked before some interviews, but you just have to go in thinking like it's not even about how you solve it, it's about how you work with the person interviewing you. Most likely they will be on your team. Do you have a rapport with them? And just, get everything on the board. Try relax as hard as that may seem. But yeah, just be prepared, because you will get a tech interview and whiteboard interview. I could be wrong. And has anyone had an interview when they haven't had to do any of these one-on-one with someone?
Any of you guys that have gone to an interview and haven't gotten tested in a whiteboard or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, some companies don't do that, and there are many companies that think they're the next Google, even though they're Jimmy's insurance company down the street, and they have these insane coding questions. Like, it's tough, but at the same time, like, people say the interview process is broken, and I agree to an extent, but how else are you supposed to show that you're qualified in a field of people with multiple years of experience and many degrees and many certifications? That is your chance to actually say, you know what? I know this stuff. I can prove it. Give me that job for 6 figures. Like, I can literally learn how to code in my house, be able to perform in a whiteboard coding situation just like any other developer. I should be able to get the 6-figure bag just like everybody else. And that's your way to prove it.
Now,
I've definitely.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Eric. I was about to just jump into you and tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say this. There's actually Lauren Tan, Potato on GitHub, like created a whole Git repository and hiring without whiteboards. And so it's a whole repository on companies that don't have whiteboarding. So they're not going to ask you those CS trivia questions. They're not going to make you do algorithm questions. So there is quite a few companies that don't do those type of interviews. So you can find them out there. Now, you can't get away from doing tech interviews. You're probably going to get like a take-home test. You're probably going to get quizzed on at least some things to see if you know what you're talking about, or if you know the material or what they're looking for. That's probably impossible to get away from. But if you're scared of those algorithm type interviews, there's a lot of companies that have rejected that. Even DHH, like David Heinemann Hansen, like he doesn't even like those type of algorithm type interviews. I mean, he even said, I'm reading a tweet here. Hello, my name is David. I would fail to write bubble sort on a whiteboard. I look code up on the internet all the time. I don't do riddles. So it's kind of a controversial subject, that whiteboarding.
Yeah, no, I could say I've never gotten a whiteboard test or anything. I mean, I probably don't go to the type of companies that most people go for. Like, let's say if I wanted to go to Facebook or Google or one of those tech companies, of course, since everybody's going there, they're going to have to choose somebody who, you know, goes in and passes all these interviews and personality traits and all this other stuff that people go into. Me personally, I never had a whiteboard test. Matter of fact, I only had one, and that was like when I went to Twitter and I failed it. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't prepare, right? I was one of those guys that is like, yo, I'm trying to really be good at what I'm supposed to be doing at the job. So you want me to build a website? I could build a website. You want me to go into the back end? I could go into the back end. Like, that's what I really, really went into. Now, for me, what I noticed from the beginning was I didn't want to be in a corporate environment, which is actually the next question after this, right? I didn't want to be in a corporate environment, right? Or to be in a place where it's like everywhere I go, I got to have my little ID and show my ID here. And you know what I mean? It's like, here's the lunch. You got free lunch. I didn't care about that. What I liked was things like that Ania works on, like games. Like, I actually did a lot of contract work for big companies. I'm like, what they call that, like a gun for hire. Like, they want somebody to come in, create a JavaScript game for Kellogg's. Here comes Joe. Hey, well, Nike just dropped this sneaker, right? Here comes Joe, comes in, does the whole website, landing page, JavaScript animations, GSAP, everything, right? That's how I like it. I never really liked when a company will come in and will say, hey, do you want to stay here? Do you want to work here full time? And it's like, nah, bro, I'm actually enjoying the freedom. I have to work on all these different projects, but that's my journey, of course. Now, if you guys have the goal of going into like Netflix, Google, Facebook, the whole thing, and like, you're gonna have to go through that process. Like, you can't, try to hide and be like, I'm not gonna do it. It's like, right? Like, this is the goal that you want. This is what it takes to get in there. So always keep that in mind. What exactly is the goal that you have? And then from there, go and do all the things and prepare yourself to achieve that goal, right? So that's something that, just keep that in mind. I didn't have to do it. Some of you guys, it seems like everybody here had to do whiteboarding and tech interviews like that. Me, it was just more like, hey, damn, your work is good. Come in on Monday. That's it. Just keep it moving, right? But again, we're gonna jump into something that's related to this, right? For those of you guys that have experience in working in small to medium-sized companies and then also have worked at bigger companies, like what's the difference, right? Or if you haven't done both, right, at least share your experience at working at a smaller company or working at a bigger company. So if you guys let's go in with coder. Let's start with you.
I have a little bit of experience. I think the first job I had was at a sort of medium-sized advertising agency. So they had maybe 180 employees total. And so I think the benefit of working at a smaller company is that you can work on a whole bunch of different stuff. So like I wasn't just working on one very specific part of web development, but like I did front end, I did back end, I worked with like SQL databases, I installed WordPress sites, I worked on landing pages and microsites and HTML emails, and like anything the client needed, I would have to figure out how to do, usually with the help of Google. But I think, so I think working at a small company, you can learn a lot in a short amount of time. I think the downsides of that are, depending on how well or badly run the company is, timelines may be a little bit unrealistic. But again, this depends on the company, the project, the client. Depends on a lot of things. I work at a bit of a bigger company now. It has maybe 2,000 employees. And I think there's just a little bit more structure in how the company is organized and also with projects. So like, at least now, my projects aren't as, tight on time. There's a little bit more breathing room, but that can always change. I think it just kind of depends on how things go. But yeah, I think there's pros and cons to each type of company.
Definitely. How about you, Jesse? Want to throw a little piece on this?
Yeah, I've mostly worked for large companies, but a lot of the projects that I've worked on, I've had almost full control of. Mostly when it comes to the back end, then you have to deal with corporate IT, stuff like that. So that it can be some red tape to go through when you get into larger companies. But yeah, I mean, as far as the way things work in a larger company, there's a lot more like Jessica was saying, structure to things. So things have to be done a certain way. I think that when you're working with a smaller company, or maybe you're the only web developer in the company, possibly, you have a lot more freedom to do things kind of the way that you want to do them.
I'm gonna jump on this one too. From what I noticed, so I've been part of like really, really small companies where it's me, a designer, and like the copywriter. You get what I'm saying? And then at the same time, I've worked for companies that are pretty huge, Fortune 500, right? So I had experience in both sides. For me personally, I've always liked the fact that you have more responsibility in a smaller company. Like if you make a mistake, like it's more obvious to you and to everybody else. So it puts some type of weight over your shoulders where you're gonna say, you know what, I really, really, really cannot mess up, because most of the time it's like a live product. Like you're doing something that could really mess up the company or mess up the launch. So I really enjoy that. Again, just like coder, sometimes the deadlines is crazy, right? Sometimes somebody comes in and say, hey, we got a client. He needs this by Friday. And you're like, wait, it's Wednesday night already. Like, what you mean? Like, we got to jump and stop everything that we got to do to go finish this by 2 days from now. So sometimes it happens like that. That's like the cons of a smaller company. Bigger company though, right? A pretty huge company like a Fortune 500 company, you'll get different tasks. Like you could be developer number 1500. Like nobody knows you. You just go into your desk, you go in, you got certain things that you got to work on. A lot of times it doesn't have to be by the end of the week. It's usually a bigger project that there's a deadline like 6 months from now. So sometimes, to me, I always love that because I could just be there incognito mode. Just go in there like, okay, cool, let me do my work. I don't have to go and do nothing crazy. Things get passed on to me, and I just get my work done. The cons for me is just I always felt like I didn't have control of anything, in the sense of I'm just developer 1591. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, all the decisions were made from guys that were on the top, and I'm just like working here, doing the grunt work or working on something that, you know, I might not have chosen. Like, let's say we're building something with Java, and I'm like, bro, I wouldn't be using no Java for this. Like, we could use Node.js, but it's not my decision to make. It's somebody else. I could give an opinion, but how much weight does my opinion work? You know what I mean? So that was something that I noticed. But yeah, man, that's my my look on things between a smaller and a bigger company. But yeah, Dennis, how about you? How's your experience with this thing?
So I've been on the end of the smaller company, and I see the benefits of both. I love what you guys mentioned. You guys hit the nail on the head with that. It made good points there. But from working at a smaller company, a small ship is easier to move. So I love the idea of having more responsibility, to have an idea and be able to implement it without having to go through this corporate structure of approval and making things work. So in my case, I worked at a company of like 10 to 15 people, kind of in that area. And the developer that originally built the system wasn't there. So I was able to just raise my hand and say, hey, I'll do this. And all this responsibility got put on me. Now, it was a little bit, the person managing the company didn't do it that well, because if I was crazy, I could have completely bankrupted the company by screwing something up. But they put this workload on me. And because of that, I was able to take it and actually build everything that I wanted and implement the features without having to go through that approval. Now, the crazy thing is the timelines. That's going to be, depending on who manages, going to be probably the biggest issue. Like my boss would, he'd hit me up on a Wednesday night and say, hey, I need you to fly to Dallas and pitch this feature to this big client. Like we'd have Fortune 500 companies using my software. So I would be on the plane that night or in a few hours later, going and pitching this thing and then having to code in the hotel, having to code on the plane. So that part I liked, but it gets pretty crazy because you're able to implement things and more relies on you. Now in a big company, I'd imagine, I haven't worked at one, but you're just a cog in the machine, which you get that freedom of, you know, going home at a certain hour, maybe not having that pressure on you. But yeah, that's been my experience at working for a smaller company.
How about you, Dorian? How's your experience?
Well, what's actually pretty funny is that my first job was at a Fortune 500 company for a big casino corporation, and we were actually a small team of developers on the marketing side of things, and we ran all the websites for their content management system. And it was actually the pressures of working at a smaller place with the responsibility of a big company, because there was only about 9 developers, and none of our management were technical. They were all marketers. So the developers had all this extra stress to push stuff out as fast as possible. They didn't really care about code quality or really anything that developers would care about. They really just wanted a product out as fast as possible, and they would add that stress to you. Now I work at a smaller company, but all of the management, all the way up until the director, was a developer at one point. And the way that the process is, and the understanding that some things take longer and that code is important if you want a application that's going to work for a long time and be, you know, have less bugs and just be, you know, less technical debt and all the things that come with rushing stuff. They understand when things get held back, and it's really a nice change. But not every big company is going to run like a big company. Sometimes those big companies treat you like a small mom and pop shop, and will treat you like an agency or consultant, because you are just a small, you know, group of devs, and all the responsibility is on you. And that was a pretty rough experience, but it was good to learn that early on, because I learned what I wanted out of a company when I made my move. So.
Dorian, I love the point of working for a non-technical boss. I don't think I'll ever do that again, because they will throw on a feature that should take 2 months and they want it by a week from now, and it's hell. But if you have a technical employer, that changes it.
And I've actually stormed out of a meeting because of something just like that we had a tight deadline. They have this feature that they want in at the very end. All the developers are telling them, no, this isn't good. This shouldn't be MVP. We need to wait. We need to hold off on this. It doesn't need to be right away. And then they want it. And it's like, all right, well, enough meetings then. We actually have to get to work while you guys come up with more stuff to implement at the last minute. So it could be frustrating, but I guess it just comes with the territory when it's non-technical.
Yeah, again, that's definitely how I felt too. Even like the last company that I worked at, it was exactly just like how you were saying. It was a big company, and then there was literally like 3 developers, and I'm like, bro, this is crazy. Like this is like this is not like normal. Like you go to a company that is huge, and you're looking around like, wait, you guys are running all of this with just 3 guys, and one guy just left, and another guy just left on vacation. Now all of this weight is on me. Like it's crazy. I don't recommend. If you see, you gotta ask. This is one thing that I want to give a little tip to everybody. You got to know about the company. Sometimes we go in and into companies and not knowing everything. When you go into interviews, ask how big is the team? Like, who are you working with? Is there going to be a senior developer? Is there going to be a guy who's been doing this for 10, 15 years? Like, sometimes we just go into interviews and we're like, we're grateful. Hey, man, thank you. I really appreciate it for this opportunity. Go in there and ask questions that is going to be relevant to your choice, because it's not just your side of things or their side of things. Like, yeah, both have to come into an agreement and say, okay, this is the job for you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you could tell like this is gonna be like a sweatshop and you're not gonna be comfortable there, don't be there, man. Okay. If anybody else want to jump on this one that hasn't gone, I don't know if Core Stories jumped on this one, or Danny.
Oh yeah, I think it actually depends on kind of company you're working for. So, for example, if you're working for a big company and you just a beginner, you just switch into software development. So, in a big company, some of the advantages would be like you have a mentor, someone who can guide you, someone who can more or less protect you from working overtime, getting crazy project, getting crazy tickets that you need to work on. And that's one of the, let's say, the main benefits you get when you're working in a big company. If you're working in a small company, everything's on your shoulders. You have to make sure you meet the deadlines. You have to make sure you are, if things doesn't work well, you have to work overtime and so on. So I'm fortunate to work in a company where I have a mentor. We have people who are highly skilled, and they're always there to help me and making sure that I'm not working on weekends, although I do that, making sure I'm not working overtime. And if I break something, they can say, hey, look, he's a junior, he doesn't have that much experience, so it's fine, it's okay. If you're working in a small company, you break something, it's all going to be on your shoulders. And but at the same time, having that experience is definitely going to, make you a really, really confident software developer, because I know people who have been in that spot before, people who work in a very small company where they have to do multiple tasks, multiple things simultaneously. And after doing that for 2-3 years, they came out being a super software developer and being really skilled in all different parts in their domain. And so it depends. So if you're the kind of person who say, like Dennis already mentioned, you like doing all this kind of stuff and diving into all these kind of things by yourself and just making sure that you get things done. If that's the kind of person you are, that's good. But if you're someone who says, just want baby step by step, learn everything, and you should definitely try to get to a place where you know that you have, let's say, a team around you who can carry you and protect you.
I will say just one thing on this subject. I work for a very big company. Our leadership team is comprised of ex-Google, ex-Amazon people. So there sometimes feels like it's crazy, but there's a method to the madness. But I've also worked with small companies. I've also done freelance. And I can even tell you, like, if you ever doubted like what is possible with a small company, Among Us was created by 3 people and only 1 developer. Like, you can move mountains sometimes with a small company, but also keeping that in mind, we all know Among Us has tons of bugs, tons of defects, and it's impossible to constantly fix them with a small team. So it goes hand in hand. Like, sometimes a small team can do amazing things, but it sometimes takes a longer period of time. I will say, when I joined the company that I'm with now, I joined as an L1 engineer. Now I'm an L3 engineer. I've been promoted twice. And I was very picky about the company that I picked because I had a very clear vision of what I wanted. And some of the things that I wanted was the dedicated mentorship. And that is really hard to get from a small company sometimes. Like Jimmy's insurance company doesn't have dedicated mentors that are going to take time to pair program with you and to teach you things. They're going to look at you like, hey, we need this done. Oh, this is crap. You got to go. Like they're not keeping that extra people around. Whereas if you have a Fortune 500 company, they've got people that they can say, hey, here's an hour every day or whatever, where you can pair program and pick up some concepts. So I do like the bigger company vibe, but I like it because of the things that I'm learning, the things that I'm picking up, and the way that I'm able to grow in this industry. And I do think you can grow no matter which company you go to. I just like the feel and the way that I'm able to do things with the company that I'm at now. But with that also being said, like you can absolutely freelance if you wanted to. The very first freelance website that I ever sold, I was still on freecodecamp.org at that time learning how to code before I even had a job in tech. I just walked into a Mexican restaurant. I was in there eating. The website was terrible. And I literally asked to speak to a manager. And I just told him like, hey, you can go ahead and fix these couple things here and your website will be great. You can have whoever does it for you. Just tell them to do this, or I can do it for you. I could probably knock it out in about 2 weeks. Next thing I know, they said, well, how much would you charge? I had no clue what to charge because I didn't know what websites went for. I never sold one. And I was like, $1,800. In my mind, I'm like, all right, he's going to come back with $1,000. I'm like, it's mine. I'm taking this money. And they paid the $1,800. And from there, you know, I've had many customers that are happy. I'll be honest. Sometimes I really love freelancing because I can have vacation money, so to speak. But outside of that, sometimes it's terrible dealing with ongoing requests from clients. So it just depends on what kind of person that you are and what you enjoy doing. But there's plenty of ways to do that. There's so many ways to make money in this field. It's ridiculous. But, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I feel you on this one. I think also because you talked about Amongst Us, right? I'm going to throw this at Ania. So since Ania's in the world of game development, technically, I mean, in the world of JavaScript and creating games on YouTube. So Ania, what made you start creating this type of content on YouTube as far as like JavaScript games, especially because you're coming from like fintech, you know, that's like pretty much your background, right? So
yeah, for sure. Well, actually, do you know what? I wanted to teach people how to get into tech. And creating games is the perfect way to do that. For me, I'm more interested, I guess, in the logic of how things work rather than making stuff look pretty. And I think games are the perfect way to do that. If you're starting out and you really want to get good at JavaScript, you know, you're sort of like creating games which have so many functions. It's purely just function stuff, right? Creating classes for battleships and so on. So that was my sort of angle with it. You know, create games, get better at JavaScript and so on. I just started making one and it got a good reception. And I was like, you know what? I enjoy making these games too. So it just sort of snowballed on from there. I don't tend to use Canvas because even though I am making games, it's not technically game development in my head. It is sort of like skills to make you better at web development and go into the industry that is more generic, which is web development. So I don't use Canvas for my games either. It is just like pure vanilla JavaScript. And then, yeah, since then, like it's just developed into learn React. Build Doodle Jump and learn React, or build Flappy Bird and learn React Native, and then build a TikTok app and learn about, you know, like serverless functions with Netlify and blah, blah, blah. So it's just sort of growing and developing from that sort of initial idea. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to go into game development. But unfortunately, that's not the way my path went. Maybe one day, who knows, get Unity going and so on.
I feel you on that. Yeah, it was just interesting because I also checked out your channel. I'm like, she's doing it like this is like HTML, CSS way. Like, you know, I'm in the world. I've dabbled, you know, with game development. I've done it with Phaser, and you know, I've worked for companies doing like projects for like brands and things like that. And we might use like something like Pixie, or we might use something like Phaser, or we might go into Canvas. And I'm like, oh, she's doing it a whole different way, which is interesting. I like it because it's really like practicing. It's more about practicing like web development when it really comes down. So that's pretty cool. I really like how you know, there's something original, which is something that I always say here on this YouTube channel. Be original. If you're gonna come to YouTube, do something original, please. Okay. So yeah, man, definitely, I enjoy it, man. I also want to throw it to the coder, right? Because I know you have like your videos are really, animated, and like who came up with this idea of coming out with this, animations and making something different and more fun than what we usually see here on YouTube.
So it's actually not me. It's my husband. He's a professional video editor and animator. All the other people who are in the Discord with me have heard me probably talk about this ad nauseum, but yeah, he's the professional. He's also has a really good sense of humor, so he injects some comedy into some of the videos and stuff. But yeah, it's unfortunately or fortunately, I can't take any credit for that aspect of it.
What you guys are doing there too is really good, because also too, you're like narrating your stories and telling, how your journey has been, as a developer. And then from there, also going in and adding this new thing that is animations and just a little bit of comedy. Like it's something that's engaging and keeping people up. Like I'm excited every time I see one of your videos, because it just pops up. I'm like, I don't know what she's gonna do. She's gonna jump off a building today, or like, you know what I mean? So it's like I like to see what you're up to, man. So I appreciate it. Right. So definitely, okay. That it's a good team. Sometimes, it always comes down to like having a good team around. Also, I was watching throwing it to Dennis right now too. I was watching a video that he had his wife do one of his tutorials, and I was like, yo, that's cool. Like I'm about to take a little shutting from that and put wifey like, yo, ma, listen, can you do a little tutorials? It's like, yo, that's hot. Put your own little spin. That was cool too. Having like a partner.
Yeah, she's going to be involved a little bit more. She's learning the HTML and CSS part, but she's the designer. So all my thumbnails, like if you see my videos, the production sucks. Like my background lighting, I don't do anything. I mean, I do it by myself, so that's why it's so low quality, but I don't know what I'm doing here. She designs it. I try to make the sound work in the video. So yeah, it's kind of cool teaming up on that.
Yeah, no, that's hot, man. Yeah. So I'm going to also throw this one at my boy Erik. So Erik, for those of you guys that don't know, Erik is super smart developer. I love his content. I've always loved his content since day one. But one thing that I really enjoy from him is that he's really stuck with Vue. And I'm always wondering, Erik, what do you love about Vue? Let the people know, because there's a lot of Vue lovers in here. And I want to know why you chose Vue over Angular, React, because sometimes people are always wondering that, and they're like, should I choose Vue? Should I choose React? Should I choose Angular? Like, what should be my pathway? You get what I'm saying, as a front-end developer?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So yeah, they're all React, Vue, Angular. They all have their place. They're all like super useful. I think everybody here can agree that you can't go wrong with any of them, really. I mean, if you're building a web app, they're all great. The reason I choose Vue, I just really like the ease of use. I really like the community. It has a very easy ramp up. So to jump into to create a Vue app, you just need to know basics of HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript. You don't have as many Vueisms as some of maybe other frameworks or / libraries out there. So that's kind of the approach that I've gone to. And with Vue 3, they just keep on adding new updates, making it even easier to use and extending it to make it even faster and better. So, that's kind of my approach that I've came from, is I just really like the community and how easy it was to get started. And nothing against React or Angular.
Yeah, no. One thing that I love about Vue is the CLI. I think like the whole ecosystem, like, I don't know, like they have pieces of like the best of Angular, best of React, and then at the same time they've done like, I don't know, like the whole ecosystem of Vue, and everybody that's in there is like super dedicated. Like if the people that's contributing to it is like super passionate and come up with new things every year. And I'm always like, man, React better get some people in there, because Vue has people that's passionate. You know what I mean? Like, Facebook has React and Angular has Google, but shoot, man, there's some dudes with heart in Vue.js, so they better step it up, man.
Yeah, I
So-
mean the community is just pretty great with Evan. You've talked to Evan before, I think. So-
Yeah. Shout out to my boy, my boy Evan.
which was funny. But maybe you could tell that story one time, sometime.
One day.
No, that's inside joke. But they're just a pretty great community, and Vue doesn't have any corporate overlords. There's no Facebook or Google behind it, and it's just run by a bunch of really talented software developers and a community that comes in and wants different new updates to it. So that's really nice, and it does have this really cool plugin architecture, so it's really easy to extend and add more add-ons for.
Now, since we're already here with you, Erik, and you actually wrote a book, how was the process? Because I know some people that come in the industry and they're just learning how to code, but some of you guys that are watching this here, you know, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, you might say, you know what, I would love to write a book or create a book on a specific subject in development, and I want you to share, you know, how is that process?
Yeah, it was great. So I've written a couple of books, a couple of traditional books. I think Jesse from CodeSTACKr has also written a book. So, I mean, he can talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, definitely. Both of you guys.
But I can say that with the traditional publishing, I think it's a really good way of getting your name out there. So if you don't have an audience yet, or you're really looking to do some personal branding, writing a book is a pretty good way to get your name out there, because it's something you can put on your resume. It does take quite a bit of time. I mean, I think the first book took about a year, and my second book took about a year and a half to write. And if you work with a really good publisher like Manning, O'Reilly, one of these big tech publishers, they really push you on quality. So you have to rewrite chapters over and over again. It's definitely not to make a ton of money, but I feel like it's a good way to get your name out there. And it's if you want to learn a subject really, really well, then write a book. And that's what I did with my book on Vue.js. I have one called Vue.js in Action and one on Ember. I'd love to hear Jesse's take on self-publishing.
Yeah, so I write some blog posts as well, and so it was kind of a pretty simple transition into just taking that sort of same style and then into a book. And so mine's on VS Code, but when you're writing something, you have to explain things without all of the visuals. So when you're in a video, it's easy to show all the stuff. So you have to write a little bit differently to really explain everything. And it worked out pretty well. So self-published it. It's included in my VS Code course. And I like that. I liked the experience of writing it. But I think that having an actual published book would be nice as well.
Nice. I think, I've been like kind of dabbling behind the scenes, trying to get a book together, do my little coding face style / John Dockett / I don't know who's a good author out there. I don't really read no books. I'm out here, just like, I'll be honest, I'm just straight. I'm an audiobook type guy, right? But at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it would be cool to create a book, right? Like how John Dockett did with like a lot of images and examples, right? And because from what I've seen from Erik, I got his book, I bought it. We got it here on the wall. You know what I mean? I support. But yeah, it's like it's a technical book. I was like, it's a nice book, but I'm like, damn, you gotta be really into it, and like he goes into so much details. I'm like, damn, bro, I don't know. I could go in there and do a couple of picture books, and it's like, hey guys, this is how it is. Like, because I know that took so much hours and so much time. So tip my hat to you, bro. That's definitely something that's pretty cool, man. But yeah, man, we're gonna talk about a question here that we could all answer too, which is freelancing. Has anyone here done freelancing? How was your experience? I know Danny talked a little bit about it, of like, he's done some freelancing even before he was even hired. For any of you guys that are basically out here in the streets as developers, right? How's your experience with freelancing? We're gonna start with Dennis. I mean, how has it been for you? Have you done it? Let us know.
Yeah, so freelancing is a whole different thing. I mean, you're getting into it. You're a business owner right away. Like, there's so much more you have to take care of. I think it's a great experience. Like, for me personally, like I don't do it anymore just because it's not really what I'm into. I don't like that client association, just having to deal with that constant back and forth, answering emails. But yeah, I got into it with my brother. Actually, we started doing WordPress sites, so we weren't even coding. And just getting clients, we just started networking everywhere. Like, anywhere we can talk to somebody, any coffee shop, restaurant, kind of like what Danny did. You just walk up to people, got some clients that way. And like probably after the first 25, that was like the hardest part of it, getting the business set up, getting the early clients. But when you do good work, that's when it gets a little bit easier, because now you're upselling clients, which happens all the time if you're doing good stuff with them, and you're getting referrals. Like, it got to a point where we were turning down clients every single week. We were giving clients to other freelancers in our area just because we couldn't take care of it. Maybe they had a feature or were requesting a feature that we couldn't do. So yeah, it was, I would say it's a good experience. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to go more into the, into learning the details of it and coding, because I actually like that process. And freelancing, I found myself in client meetings more than I found myself working, actually, on the site. So yeah, that's been my experience with it. It's good and bad, I guess.
Yeah, no, I definitely can relate with you with that side. Sometimes you just want to work on the code instead of working on how can I promote my service, how can I get new clients, how can I make sure that they pay me on time, how can I go in and have realistic deadlines and things like that. That sometimes as a developer you're like, wait, this is not what I love about being a developer. Like, this is like a business side of things, and I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. So definitely I can relate to you on that. Anybody else that has done freelancing want to share their stories or share their experience with it?
I can, especially because I see a lot of people in the chat want to talk about freelancing. I can tell you that freelancing is awesome if you want to make some side money, some quick money. A lot of the time, small businesses don't have huge requirements, but the problem is they are really terrible at describing what they actually want. And it is your job to figure out what they actually want. And sometimes you have to play mind reader. Sometimes you have to go off a very vague description and try to make some magic happen. And sometimes you have some great clients that know down to the T what they want it to look like, what they want it. They'll even draw you like a little sketch. Totally helps. But for the average person, they just know they need something. And it is upon you to deliver a solution that actually solves a problem, instead of like, hey, I'm delivering you something. Can I get 10 grand for this? Right? Like, you're delivering a solution. So keep that in mind. One thing that we do in Memphis, we have Give Camp Memphis, and everyone here is welcome to join that if they want, where we have one weekend every year where we basically, all the developers in the area kind of team up together and we make websites for nonprofits. And Friday night is pitch night. And we had like nonprofits from like Boys and Girls Club or Women Domestic Violence Association, where they try to help women that are victims of domestic violence. And they'll give you these requirements and they don't really know what they want. So after they give their little speech, all the developers kind of go together, and then we're figuring out, okay, this is what they want here, this is what they want there. And we come up and we tell them what we can actually deliver. But for a lot of small businesses, a simple WordPress site, they're happy, right? Like Sally's hair salon probably just wants some place that they can display their pricing, display their hours, and display their contact information. They're not on there really trying to do online bookings. And if they are, then that's a different kind of situation. But for the most part, they just want something static that kind of says what they want, right? Like, same thing with like a sandwich shop. The only thing that they want is like their menu and maybe a call to action to like Uber Eats or something like that. These are the kind of solutions that they're looking for a lot of small businesses. And especially now, more than ever, these businesses need solutions to help them in the age of coronavirus, in the age of COVID, and the age of these lockdowns. This is the time where you can take advantage of this, because they never realized before that they needed an online presence. Now they're like, oh man, how do I do this? You got stores, you got convenience stores even joining Uber Eats for delivery. This is your time to walk and say, hey, I see you're on Uber Eats. You don't have a profile online. Your whole Google, when I Google you, the only thing that pops up is your call to action of a call-in. Let's go ahead and add a website there to show your customers how they can order from you. Boom, that's going to increase their sales. You're delivering a solution. They're getting paid, and you're getting paid. That and the ways to get clients, honestly, walk in your local area. Everyone in your area, for the most part, if they need, like, if people in the international community need websites, your local area needs them too. So just go around. You don't have to be a salesman. Just go to the business that you normally frequent. Just drop a line. Say, hey, you know, I can make a website that can solve X, Y, Z. You don't need to be pushed like, oh, sign here today. No, just drop a line. Everyone wants to have like, oh, I got a guy. I got a plumber, I got an electrician, I got this guy that can work on your AC, I got a web developer guy. Well, by you just dropping the information that you make websites, now if someone else comes into their store like, hey man, trying to get my website done. Oh, I got a guy. Oh, hey, you know, I'm trying to get this done. Well, oh, I spoke to this lady the other day and she's killer at it, she says. Boom, be the guy, be the girl, be the person that is a connector. Simple as that.
Anybody else that has had any experience with freelance want to throw a little, you know, a little swift in there, a little flavor of, of what you've been going through or you have gone through before. If not, we're gonna jump into Ania, right? So Ania, I know a lot of people always ask me about, like, you know, fintech and all of this stuff. Like you have that background. And from what I was, you know, doing my Googles. I was like, okay, Ania was part of a company. You guys started a startup. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Just like your experience in that side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I do love the startup world. I mean, I have mixed feelings about the startup world. Let's go with that. I started my first startup while I was working in finance. It was an e-commerce site, as I mentioned. It was built on a much older version of Wix Weebly, which wasn't very good, and it was really fun. And I really liked it. I worked with 3 friends. It was all good. The second startup that I joined was a lot more, I guess, intense. We joined Barclays Accelerator program. So it was like full on, you know, you get investment, you have stakeholders, and it's a lot of people management, a lot of, it was just a big time for us. I mean, if anyone's thinking about starting a startup, then accelerated programs was definitely a way to do it. You sort of join as a team, if you get accepted onto an accelerated program, and then you're already just like, you get given a bunch of mentors, you get given a bunch of experienced people to really help you out and really help you get to that next level of fundraising. So it was really fun, but I guess it goes back to the previous thing that we were talking about. There was a lot of stuff. I mean, it's intense. It's very testing on friendships. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. So I definitely say, like, if you have an idea, go for it. But just be aware, like, it is intense. Like, it takes up a lot of your time. You don't see your friends for months at some point. Yeah, it's cool. But I think joining that startup was the thing that really pushed me into wanting to do development full time, because it wasn't full time before. And really just focus on that one niche rather than, you know, like talking to investors one day and then talking to someone else one day. It was just mentally super draining.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. Any one of you guys have started a startup or done like a microservice or anything like that? If you guys want to chime into that. Yeah, no, I know the startup world is a little bit different, and there's a lot of stuff that comes with it. You know, it can be very draining in the sense of for people, because I've worked at startups, but they weren't mine. But I was in the main team, and it's like, bro, like it'll be crazy. It's like, okay, guys, we're trying to gather up the next 6 months, and it's like, wait, what? Like we're trying to get a budget for the next 6 months or for the next year to continue the application or whatever it might be, or for even, you know, for marketing. I remember I was working at a company, and it was like a startup for sports, right? So to be able, like, let's say somebody had a basketball league in a local area, right? So this bunch of kids came up with this idea or whatever, and then they got somebody to basically give them the money for it and hire like 7 developers. And I'm in there, I'm like, this is crazy. Everybody's in shorts, everybody's in chancletas, like everybody's just comfortable, right? Which that was the cool part, because I'm like, I'm used to going into work with my jeans and slacks, and I'm looking around, everybody's there in freaking sandals and flip-flops, right? Just coming in, some guy is like, yo, I I didn't go to sleep. I didn't go home yesterday. I'm like, bro, you bugging. Like, he's like, he just been coding all night. But he was one of the founders though. You know, so he working for that bag. You know what I'm saying? I get my 9 to 5. I'm going home. This is my company, you know, right? So, but I know for the founders, it's super crazy. So it's definitely one of those things that you got to keep in mind. You know, it's not like what you see on that show Silicon Valley, where people's like, oh man, this got to be so cool and this and that. It's like, just like anything in life, if there's gonna be a big payoff, this thing is gonna be difficult. So keep that in mind, okay, kids? Now, since we are talking with Ania and we also have cool stories in here, let's talk about how is the Europe scene, right? Because you guys are out there, right? How is it for developers over there? I mean, I don't even know. Can you guys like give me a little quick rundown how the Europe scene is for developers, and also to give us some resources like for people to find jobs? Because I don't know, do you guys have Indeed.com over there or something? Like, you know, like what's the main website that you guys use?
I don't know about websites, but we've got our own Silicon Valley. No, we don't. We've got a Silicon Roundabout, so it's a lot smaller, and it's in Shoreditch. If you guys haven't been to Shoreditch, like, please go. It's so fun. It's such a shame it's locked down, and I haven't actually gone to like check it out in ages. It's considered to be like where all the tech places hang out. I mean, you've got like Stripe there. You got, I don't know. Do you guys know what Monzo and Revolut is, or is that just a European thing? Well, there's some challenger banks, which are sort of like cool companies to work for here at the moment. They're like really hot. So yeah, there's like a Silicon Roundabout newsletter and meetup. So I know those are really popular to go to, but just in general, just attend loads of meetups. I myself run a meetup called Geek Girl Meetup with a few other girls, which is specifically not just for women, but people who relate to as such, but obviously inclusive of everyone.
And this is in London, right?
This is in London, but they also have them all over the world. We do the UK one. It started in Sweden in 2006. So yeah, if you've had a Geek Girl, there's probably like a little one lurking somewhere near you.
Oh, that's hot, man. That's hot. So yeah, so like, can you guys like give us like some resources? Because I'm thinking about like, you know, usually my subscribers is from all over the world, right? And they always ask me, hey Joe, I'm trying to find a job, I'm trying to get into a job, but you know, I'm in France, or I'm in Spain, I'm in England, right? And I always feel bad because like my knowledge is here in the US. So like this moment, I feel like you guys can really bring value. Like, where do people go to find jobs if you live in Europe, and how does that work? I mean, because in my head, it's like the EU is like the United States. It's like you could just travel everywhere. I mean, now with Brexit and all that stuff happening, but I'm just thinking like, you know, can you guys throw some gems at the people that are in Europe? Because this is your time to shine, kids. Like, this is your moment. Okay, there's a lot of people in here from Europe, and I don't know nothing that I can really help them out with, like except the basics, you know.
Yeah, I can jump into that. So I live in Berlin in Germany, and so from my point of view, getting a software developer job here in Germany can be really tough, especially because the Germans, they're still very, let's say, old school when it comes to hiring people who doesn't have computer science degree in software development. However, the tech scene here in Germany is really evolving, and unfortunately, we don't have that much boot camps. So there are like maybe 5 or 6 boot camps in Germany that are really good. But so because of my YouTube channel, so I also have a YouTube channel in German where I speak German and just share my experience in German. Also have other people on that I invite to my podcast, German podcast, where we speak German and just try to tell people and reach people that, hey, look, yeah, there was a time where you have to have a computer science degree to get into this domain, but right now you don't have to, and this is how you do it. This is how you can get there. And the way I did it, for example, was I didn't start it right away as a software developer. I started as a user help desk specialist or IT supporter. So this company hired me, and when I was thinking about switching to software development, I told this company, hey, look, I I want to become a software developer, but I can start as a user help desk. However, if somewhere down the line, if there's a position as a junior developer, would you guys give me a try, give me a chance? And they said, yes, let's do it. So I jumped right there, started working there, and 1.5 years later, I was able to switch. So that's also something I tell people, that you don't have to. If it's if it's not possible to start right away as a software developer, you can start doing customer service. You can start doing something that is maybe not has nothing to do with tech, but you're working in a company where they have developers. There are developers there, and you can during break time, after work, you can go to the developers and just have a conversation with them. Just show them that you're interested. Show them that you really want to switch. You really want to do this. And that's how I did it. I was literally stalking the software developers in my company. Like when I working as a IT supporter, I have to set up their workspaces, set up their devices. And while I'm setting up their devices, I'm looking over to your screens and, hey, what are you doing? What's that syntax you using? Or I will bring my project and, hey, look, I'm stuck in this project, and can you please help me? And they recognize that I'm really, really interested in becoming a software developer. And after stalking them for 1.5 years, they said, you know what? Let's give this guy a chance to switch. And that's how it happened on my side.
Not a stop, man. Definitely. Cool. Let's see, because I know somebody has some good questions in here. I'm looking for the community to try to bring in some more questions from the peoples. All right, but I'm gonna start with this one, which is something that somebody sent me earlier today. And they said, "What is your favorite stack?" And I'm gonna start with Jesse on this one, CodeSTACKr.
Yeah, I keep it kind of. I don't know if it's old school now, but the MERN, that one's. That's kind of my go-to when I just want to get something spun up quick and just get something going. That's what I use. So Mongo, Express, React, Node.js. That's my favorite.
Cool. How about you, Dorian? What's your favorite stack?
I'm working in the J hipster stack, which is Java, Angular front end, SQL, and Spring Hibernate. And that's what I use for work. So that's my current favorite one. Personal stack, if I'm trying to spin something up quick, probably a MERN or a mean stack, just because the ease of using all one language and having a Mongo and all that's pretty nice just to get something up and going. I saw somebody was asking SQL or NoSQL, and really it's what you want to do and what you're trying to get the job done with. If you're looking to scale, you probably want to go SQL in the long run. If you're looking to spin something up quick, NoSQL like MongoDB is just fine.
How about you, Dennis? We kind of know the answer for this one.
Well, the best stack, if you really want to get a job, is Python, Django, and React with Postgres. So
the Python guy is like, it was like, you know what I'm gonna say to you, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna hit you with Python, man. Nah, that's what's up, man. I like Python too, man. Let's see. How about you, Danny? What you using right now?
Man, I will use and learn whatever brings a paycheck. You got a paycheck in this Java? Done. That's exactly what I'm learning. You got a paycheck with Python? Done. You got a paycheck with PHP? I'm learning PHP and Laravel, baby. Whatever will bring a paycheck, that's exactly what I'll learn. My path in tech, I literally started learning Python, and Python is great. I still love Python. A matter of fact, in my latest video, I did a ton of research for the top 7 languages of 2021, where I looked at job market and income, and Python was number 1. I have a lot of love for Python. In my particular area, there were 0 Python jobs. So I spent 4 months learning Python and realized, oh, I'm not going to get a job in this. I pivoted to Java because the 10 companies that I wanted to work for, that is their exact stack, Java, Angular. So I learned Java, Angular, and I learned SQL with that. Well, my job is giving me a paycheck, and we're rewriting our entire code base into React and Go. So guess what? I'm learning React and Go. I will learn anything. I love every language, every framework, everything. I love it all equally as long as it's bringing a paycheck. So if you're paying me, I'll learn whatever you want me to learn.
Go ahead, Coder. What you using right now? What's your favorite stack? Also, too, because I like the answer, Danny. But at the end of the day, is what's your favorite stack right now? Because we all will go and learn whatever the check comes with. You get what I'm saying? Like if they gotta pay me with PHP, Ruby, whatever it is, yeah. I want to know what's your favorite right now. That's what the people want to know.
The quick answer to that is React and Go. I really do love it a lot. I think the world of microservices is probably the future of development, and I see that being the case. I think Golang is going to pick up in a massive way because of its command of microservices, and of course, Java has great microservice control as well. But I think that's going to be the future.
How about you, Coder?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I am kind of like Danny. I learned what I need to for the job. So my current company. In my last company, we did C#.NET and SQL stuff, Microsoft. We were like a Microsoft house or whatever. So that's what I learned. I really like it, but I don't know if I have a favorite. These days, I actually work more on the CSS SAS side of things. So I'm not really part of the whole React versus Vue versus Angular versus, other frameworks battle.
Nice. But I mean, there got to be a stack that if you come in and you say, okay, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna spin up a little project, a little page just for CSS and SAS. There has to be something in there. You might just say Netlify, let's do Jamstack, and that's it. Keep it, simple, right? What do you, if you have to spin up something, or you just like you keep it old school? You say index.html, and then I'm just compiling SAS, like.
Yeah, I love SAS. I like using Gulp. That's kind of my two things that I like.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a Gulp head too. Like some people, they look at me like, "Yo, you still using Gulp? You're not using Webpack for all of these things." I'm like, bro, like I have like a million tasks for Gulp. Like I'm happy with Gulp, right? I know some people they be trying to kill me, like, Joe, you should be using Webpack for your CSS, and you could compile your SAS with Webpack. I'm like, bro, I don't like going in there and having to do all that stuff. I know how to do it, but it's like Gulp is just easy. Like is really just made for this. But yeah, so let's jump into Erik.
Yeah, at my work, we were a big Node AWS backend on serverless Lambdas everywhere. And we use Postgres, DynamoDB. It's kind of like my stack of work. And we have Angular and Vue on the front end. And so personally, when I'm running projects, I'm a big fan of Nuxt on my front end, which is a Vue.js type of app framework. And then using JavaScript in the back end, using Node.js, and then using TypeScript everywhere as much as I can, using TypeORM and connecting to like a Postgres DB is kind of what I like. And then I used to do Elixir back in the day with Phoenix, and it's just a different paradigm shift, and it's a great stack too for the back end. And Rails, those are my favorites.
Nice. Oh, I didn't know you was a Rails head, Erik. So that's why you like Ember, because if you from the Rails world, you know about Ember. I mean, that's why I used to use back a few years ago. Like that was like my best thing that I always went for. So I was wondering, I'm like, wait, when I saw you create like some tutorials on Ember, I'm like, does Erik know about Rails? Like, is he a Rails head behind the scenes? Like.
I used to love Rails. I never did it professionally. It was just like a fun hobby I did for a while. And then, yeah, Ember kind of fit in really well back in the day to that.
Nice. How about you, Ania? What's your stack? What is it you working on right now? Like when you got to spin up an application, or you just keeping it old school, index.html, that's my stack.
Well, I guess like Jesse, it is man. However, I did do a project with DataStax recently on Apache Cassandra. I'm even wearing a t-shirt, Apache Cassandra t-shirt. I love it. And I got introduced to Netlify functions. So I think I mentioned them earlier, and I just thought, wow, like this is crazy. If you're doing like a small little project, it's like perfect. It's serverless. So if you guys haven't tried that before, definitely do. Otherwise, it is man. But at work, I mean, typical buzzwords at the moment: GraphQL, TypeScript, and so on. So that's me in a nutshell.
Nice, nice, nice. Definitely, man. Yeah, for me, somebody came in and put in, this is a comment that somebody put in there. Let me see if I find it. Let me see. That was funny. Let me see if I put it in because that was just hilarious to me. I think Tony Valentine said something like, yeah, Joe caught Joe caught on the Mern Stack video. Caught on that Mern Stack video. So I made a video about the Mern Stack, which I just said, and this is like the truth for like anybody, anywhere that you go. Like, this is not like I'm choosing Mern Stack. It's like, this is not like Pokemon. Like, you can't just be like, Pokemon, like, Mern Stack, here you go. Like, nah, I choose you. Nah, like literally, like the Mern Stack, what I said in that video was something like this. If you live in an area and there's jobs for you for the Mern Stack, study the Mern Stack. If you live in an area where there's jobs for Python, study Python. If you live in an area where there's more jobs for you in PHP, go for PHP, right? Or whatever it is that you want to use. Now, I see a lot of people that always say, hey, use the Mern Stack, use the Mern Stack. But again, I always tell the viewers, guys, do your own research. Like, we're not God. We don't know where you live. We don't know your area. We don't know your market. It's like right now, that's why I was asking Ania and Cold Stories about, how's the scene in Europe. When people come in and ask me questions about, hey, how can I get a job here in Europe? I can give you like an overall advice, right? Which, I could go and give you that advice that could go on a blanket or buff everybody, but that doesn't mean it's going to keep everybody warm, right? Like, you got to go and do your own research and find out on your own what's the best stack or what jobs and opportunities is going to be out there where you live. So that's what I meant, with that video. So don't kill me. I don't hate the Mern Stack. If you go to my website, codingphase.com, just by the way, if you guys don't know, hit in the description somewhere. I always say, hey, man, go check out every single stack that's out there. Just make sure that you're trying to get a job, man. You don't want to be the guy out here with a hobby. I know people that come in and they learn things that, it's like, I remember like years ago when Elixir was popping. Shout out to Erik. But when Elixir was popping, and a lot of people was like, oh, I'm gonna stop everything that I'm doing because Elixir just became trending topic on YouTube. And it's like, bro, you don't even have a job yet. Like, try to get a job first, and then you could always jump into everything else. And because as an experienced developer, you kind of have the option to choose different stacks once you have experience. But if you don't have no experience, like, try to get into the industry first. Okay, so definitely that's what I meant with that video. Quick explainer.
Oh yeah, and one other thing, like, people crap on PHP and older languages like AngularJS, but like, if that's what's in your area, I mean, get your foot in the door somewhere. I would take an AngularJS job if I was unemployed and I was trying to get in. It's not that bad. Maybe I wouldn't learn like maybe I'd even learn an old language like Cold Fusion. I mean, heck, like some of those things I could take to another job. I don't know.
I get the question all the time.
Surprised.
Like, what's the best stack? There is no best stack. Like, being able to understand what each technology does and then apply that to the application, because it depends on what you're doing as to which stack you might want to choose. And then, like you said, like, whatever's available in your area, that's what you need to focus on, do a little bit of research. But understanding the basics of each stack and what each one of them can do, that's going to benefit you more.
Yeah, I fully agree with Jesse. I think if you have the basic concept of each domain, of each stack, you can actually apply to in any other place. So you don't have to pick the stack someone is bragging about on YouTube or on somewhere else. Just look at what in your location. Try to find out, okay, for example, here in Germany, many companies are still into PHP, and as far as I know, in America, in the States, PHP is not that popular anymore. But here in Germany, PHP is still very. A lot of people love PHP, so yeah, learn PHP. If it's JavaScript, learn JavaScript, and yeah. So just make sure that you have the concept of how this things works, and if you can do that, then you can actually switch to any place.
I just kind of want to add to that a little bit, and I definitely agree with what everyone's saying here. I've always said, learn the demands of your market or move to where your demand is. So if you learn Python, for example, and in my case, I learned Python and realized my market had no Python positions. My option was move to where Python positions are or pivot to where my market is. My market is very .NET heavy, but the companies that I wanted to work for used Java. So I picked up Java. Learn the demand of your market or move to where the money is. Simple as that. With that also being said, if you learn Node, that is awesome. You are entitled to learn whatever you want. But if all the jobs in your area are in Python, you can't be too upset if you're not landing a position because you don't know the demands of your market. But one caveat with that I would say is you can learn whatever you want, build out whatever solutions you want. If you realize that you've learned something that you can't utilize as a tool in that position, learn that as well. You can always pick. You don't need to be so focused on one language that anything else is like, oh, this is unacceptable. And also, please take whatever you learn online, or whatever you're taking in on social media, with a grain of salt. If we followed all of what Twitter had to say, for example, everyone would become a JavaScript and Python developer, and nobody would work in any other language in the world. Like, if you followed all the memes, you would never touch PHP. Yet there's Fortune 500 companies all over the United States that use PHP. Companies do not make quick changes. Companies actually take long periods of time to actually make a change that will adjust their code bases. So even like, for example, when Dino came out, everybody's like, oh, Node is dead. No, it isn't. No company, if they're using Node, they're not going to switch to Dino just because it's the hot new thing. They want to see the proof. They want to see all this stuff. And to even change their entire code base of millions and millions of lines, that takes time. So if they want to take that, make that jump, they need to see the financial reasoning behind it. They're not doing it because it's cool or something new. They want to see a lot of companies only use older versions of a framework, like Angular, for example. They may use like Angular 6, right? Like, they're not jumping onto the newest years because it may break their code base. Same thing here.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer, guys. Let's jump into Coder and Ania. How's your experience as a woman in tech, as developers, right? I know this is like one of those questions where it's like so many people always asking, they're like, man, Joe, because I get so many girls that come in and be like, Joe, am I going to be able to get a job? How difficult is it going to be? Am I going to be feeling weird or this and that? Like, sometimes people want to know this type of things, right? I don't know why, but those are the questions that people want to know the answers to. I mean, how was your experience as a woman in the industry, right?
I mean, I guess I can go. I guess it's a bit different for me because I started out in a job that was very male dominated. And then I went to tech, which is also very male dominated. So I didn't find the transition very hard. However, I have to say, I mean, obviously I love the community, the dev community and everything. Everyone's really supportive, but since starting a YouTube channel, I know you start a YouTube channel, you get some like pretty weird comments. I've never had the time to develop imposter syndrome, because before you knew it, I was getting messages like, that's not your code. Your dad wrote that code. Is that your boyfriend's code? And I was like, what the hell is this? Yeah. I mean, guys, I don't know if you get questions questioning the authenticity of what you've written, but I was like, whoa, like that sort of took me aback. So I do understand where this sentiment comes from, and it is a shame. And I think the only way to sort of beat it is just to get more female representation out there, like women in tech jobs that are loving it, that can act as mentors for other women who perhaps don't have the confidence to go into a industry such as this.
Yeah, no, definitely. How about you, Coder? Anything that you want to throw in there?
I mean, I think I've been kind of lucky. I have not had any terrible experiences with sexism and stuff in tech, but I will say that I've been in the industry for maybe 8 years now, and it's only just now, literally like a couple weeks ago, that I've worked with the first other female like developer in my entire career. And so even though I've had good experiences, my teams and bosses have always been super supportive and, nothing really bad. It has been, it's nice to, I think, be able to work with other women. So it is very male dominated, but I think your experience will vary from company to company. I think yeah. So
Yeah,
it
no,
depends. It
definitely.
depends.
That's cool.
I was gonna say in 15 plus years I've only worked with like one other woman developer, which is not good. I've had managers that have been women though, so that at least that's good, and that's probably a different conversation about how that happens. But Joe, you're on mute.
Sorry,
Joe,
sorry
you're
guys. I was just saying, like, in the 9 years that I've been in the game since 2011, I only had one woman that was a developer. But what was cool about it was she was like 60 years old. So she was like probably one of the first ones in the game. You know, like most of you guys are pretty young, right? So imagine her experience too. Like, you know, she always will tell me stories like, yeah, I was coding on this one in 1991, and she was a little bit like, how can I say that? Not a little bit cuckoo, but she was like one of those people that's like fidgety. And she was like, yeah, I remember in like 1991, we used to work on this, and then I remember when we switched to Visual Basics, and then we jumped into Ruby on Rails. And I'm like, damn, you got so much knowledge. But she will always just jump into like so many different stories. But it's crazy, you know. Hopefully, you know, in the future we start bringing in more people. That's like what I try to do, you know. Like that same question, I feel like a lot of times people ask me, as a Latino, people come in and ask you, hey Joe, how is it? Is it difficult for you to get into the game, or do you feel anything? I'm like, I'll tell you the truth, man. I'm the only Spanish guy that I ever work with. So it's like, I look around like, what the other Spanish dude? It's like, yeah, it's only you. But at the same time, this is what's cool about it. It's like you're one of the first ones, and then at the same time, what you want to do is, you know, bring awareness and show people how cool this career is, so more people could know about this, and then more people could get in, and maybe the next generation, you know, 2-3 other guys is in there, etc. So I definitely know how you guys feel. So that's pretty cool, man. Thank you for sharing that, man. Again, let's go into the thing that a lot of people have been asking to in here. It's like, hey man, how do you make money as developers independently, right? I know my boy Dennis can really go in and jump into this one. One of the reasons I started following him was I saw a video from him where he talked about how he sold an application to I don't remember if it was an employer or a company or a client, but I thought that idea of like, hey, I created this app and I sold it, like it was so cool. So definitely, Dennis, like you could share a little bit of your experience on making money besides working for a company.
Yeah, so I've done it. I had Florin on in a live stream on this topic, and I think I've done it through traditional employment, through freelancing, doing YouTube, blogging. There's probably a few other ones in there, but do you want to go into that application I built? Maybe do a little
like
recap of that, or
what was the application like? Did you just come up with the idea, or was it something that somebody told you, hey, could you build this for us, and then you just sold the code for them, like, you know, the license, whatever it might be?
Yeah. So this story actually, I guess, might be helpful for people trying to just jump into something. So I worked at this company. I had experience with HTML, CSS, WordPress. And after I ran my web development company, I was burnt out. Like, I was 19 at the time, so I just wanted to transition. So I got hired in the marketing department at my company. And it was a forensics laboratory. So we would take in fuel samples, we would analyze them, and we had to store them in this database and then send clients the report, like what was wrong with the fuel. And while I was working there, I always wanted to code. That was my original dream going into this in the first place. And the system that the company was running on was really super outdated. It was built in 2008, and the old developer like updated it once in a while, only when there was an issue, and that was it. So my boss was like, "Hey, we need to buy a new system or pay somebody to build this, and we have a budget of like $70,000, maybe." Like, that was kind of the quotes that we were getting. So I was like, okay, I've always wanted to build. I've always wanted to code. I want to do something like on this scale. So I had that idea to rebuild it. I added all these features. I went to Paint, so nothing too extreme. I mocked up a couple of ideas of the new version of the product, found all the issues that we had with the old system, decided how I would change those, and then spent like the next 3 months teaching myself, learning how to build it, and then eventually went into designing it on my own. So that was like I I got like a contract. So it was almost like a software as a service. It was almost like a SaaS project because they paid me on usage. So I basically told them, because I did this on my off time, like I still worked my day job and then I had my off hours. So they would pay me based on how many samples were inputted into the system on every single month. So I would charge them like 30 cents a sample, and they had thousands coming in. So they paid me that way. Then after 2 years of working on that, I basically got to this like disagreement where we wanted to go different ways. I was burnt out at the company, and I basically said, you can buy it from me for 100,000. And then we went back and forth, eventually settled on 40,000. And that was like the summary of how I was able to break into the industry, but monetize my skills that I just acquired and spent 2 years building on, and then sold it. So yeah, I don't know exactly what details you wanted to go into, but that was kind of it, of breaking into it and then making money that way. So it was that, freelancing, and then doing obviously YouTube and selling courses now. But yeah, there's like probably 5 different ways that I've done it, I think.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Any of you guys want to jump in, share any experiences that if you guys have ever sold an application, created some type of niche website, or created anything where you could make income besides like working for a company? Any experience that you guys might have in that, y'all could go in and jump in. If not, I'm gonna jump in. So
Besides working for a company, the only just recently became a YouTuber, right? But also selling courses. So just create the platform to sell courses. That's going to be my goal going forward, is YouTube courses, trying to help as many people as I can to learn how to code, and ultimately quit my day job at some point. We'll see how soon that happens.
Even to go with that, I'll say there are so many ways to make money as a developer. You could literally make a website that sells templates. You can make a website that sells products. You can make a website that actually charges businesses to pass through data. You can literally come up with website templates. You can come up with WordPress themes. You can come up with editor themes. You can come up with, there's so many ways. You can make a book. I have a Twitter course that is great side money as well to grow on Twitter. Since I'm popular on there, I did it in what is it, over almost 500 sales now. It's getting close to. So it's definitely good side money that comes in. There's so many ways, and I feel like some people, they like, for example, Florin, good friend of all of ours, I think, he made that book, 10 Ways to Make Money as a Developer. Highly recommend that. A lot of the stuff that he talks about, things that I've been talking about for such a long time, and he went a step further to get like actual market research besides just saying, hey, go do this. So if you want a good book, and I think it's like $20, you can't go wrong there. But you could literally even make an ebook on something that you've done successfully, that you have the knowledge on. Because one thing I try to tell beginners all the time, and obviously I'm not saying, hey, you just did 3 code camp lessons, time to write that book. No. Get a little bit of actual like experience in doing that thing. But once you become credible in what you're talking about, you can make Medium articles and make money off of that. Like you can put articles on Medium and make money off that residual. But once you become credible in that subject, every single day someone is learning HTML for the first time. Every single day someone's learning CSS for the first time. Every single day someone's learning Java or Python for the first time. You know something now that a couple months ago that completely confused you, and you can now provide that knowledge to that person and gain something from it. You can have a blog, have ads on your blog that'll make money. You can share what you know, even for yourself. And eventually that's going to start reaching other people. You never know whose life you could change. And in the process with that as well, you can make a little something. I'm all about, of course, my goals are a little different. I'm all about like trying to help people grow in this field, thrive, and get jobs, and to learn to become a better developer, because tech truly changed my life. If it wasn't for tech, I would still be working minimum wage in a gas station. Simple, like I owe everything to tech, and I want to help as many people as I can do the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I always talk about this in this channel, and I always let people know, I think there's really like 5 categories that you could go and jump into. I'm actually going to drop a video for Traversing Media, but I'll give you guys a little quick rundown. It's just, it really comes down to selling products, right? Selling code as a product, right? Creating applications, at the same time selling your experience, which also goes into YouTube, courses, tutorials, all of those things. Then from there you have niche websites, and niche websites could be anything. A niche website just means that you're creating an application within a set of a niche of a category. So for example, if you go into sports, how can you niche down even more and say, let me create a website about basketball? But how can I even niche down even more and say, I want to create a website that is for people that want to learn how to dunk? And you create a small microservice just on that and put in, like, let's say, for example, the best sneakers that is going to help you jump higher and which ones are lighter, etc. Right? Like, those are the things that is really going to help you make some extra income here as a developer, right? And of course, you're gonna get way more info than that on that Traverse video that we're about to drop pretty soon. But just keep that in mind. Like, use the skills that you have at any level that you're in. You could go and make money with it. Okay, I think sometimes, even like when I first came into YouTube, I feel like even my channel is kind of taboo because I focus so much in how to make money as a developer. Like, that's what this channel is pretty much 100% about. Like, how can you make money with the skills that you have, right? Because you not only can you work for other people, but you can also work for yourself with the same skills. And there's so many different ways that you could go and make those skills useful. But yeah, man, you know, like most of you guys know, I do niche websites. I also have codingphase.com where we sell courses. Same thing. We have the YouTube channel. Like, there's so many different avenues for everybody to get into. But as you guys can see, like, I got my hands on every single category. I try to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, if you guys haven't checked out that video, go check out the Billy Ray channel. As you guys can see, is Billy Ray from Coding Phase, right? We broke down how we make over $650,000 this year, right? We wasn't making that last year, but now this year, this is what we're making. And I broke down all of the different things that I just got my hands on. And everything takes time. If you want to create a YouTube channel, that's going to take you time to get to a certain point. If you want to create a book, it's going to take you time. Everything that you could think of that you're using your skills, you're going to be able to be profitable, but it just takes time. And if you go in and dabble into all of the different categories and different ways of making income, you're going to have a solid amount of money in your pocket, because believe it or not, this is the most profitable career that you could really go into. This is like, when I always put this with like a construction worker. You could go in and build a house for a company, or you could take those skills, build your own house, and then start your own business building houses for other people. You get what I'm saying? Or even go in and say, oh, I'm a construction worker. You know what? This tool that I use every single day, instead of me buying it from somebody else, let me build this tool and sell it to other construction workers, because I know that industry. So always be smart and just get your bread out here. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So any other questions you guys might want to talk about in here?
Joe, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question for everyone here. So I was curious, has anybody gotten pushback? I think most everybody here has a traditional job still, and they're doing this on the side. Have you guys gotten pushback on this? Like, I went into one interview and obviously I didn't take that job, but they were like, no, we're not cool with you having a YouTube channel. We want your commitment here. Like, has that been something you had to hide, or how have you worked around that?
That's crazy. I've not experienced that, but wow.
I would have thought that would have been like a positive thing. And my company, I mean, they love it. They encourage it. They're like, oh yeah, we love what you're doing.
I think most were pretty receptive to it, but I had to be honest with him. I was like, I'm not going to hide this and then throw it at you later. So it was only, I think it was like 2 companies that were like, no, we don't want that. But that's not a company I'd work for anyways, because I'm not going to shackle myself to what they want and then not have anything. Like, I think everybody should have something on the side, like be respectful to the job, but still build up your own career, because a company will throw you out the window once they're failing, but they won't take care of you.
Yeah. Out of interest, how come? What did they say? They just said, "Oh, we don't like it."
They just basically said, if it's going to take your time, if that's something that you actually want to pursue, we see that if it becomes successful in a year or 2, you're going to leave us. So we want at least like a 5-year commitment out of you, and that's not what I was willing to do. So it was just the fact that they thought if I was successful with it, and when I showed them in the first place, I think I was like at 200 subscribers. So I think they were just scared of investing time into me and then me leaving them.
They must be
Yeah,
old
the
school
only-
companies or
you know,
something. That's so weird.
Yep.
yeah, that's crazy. For me, I'll share my story. I kind of some people that's been here since 2017, like they know the story, but I know a lot of people are brand new and probably new people from each one of your channels is here. Like this was actually something that happened in 2017. I quit my job because I was like, I don't need to be here. Like, why? You know, I went in there super young into that job. Next thing you know, I'm came out with gray hairs. Like, I'm only 32 years old. Like that job freaking aged me like 10 years, bro. So I was like, I'm out of here. I quit the job. But then a recruiter friend of mine calls me. I was like, listen, I got this great offer for you, man. Like, they're gonna give you like 140 grand. It's 5 minutes away from your home. I just looked it up on Google Maps, this and that. And I said, cool. I'll go in. If there's a bag, I'm going. So I decided to go to the job interview, right? And when I go to the job interview, the guy that I talked on the phone, and he was like super great. He was like the project manager. He tells me, hey, man, you're going to also meet the owner of the company and this, and that. And I'm like, okay, cool. But whatever. I meet the guy. The guy comes in, and he comes in, sits down, looks at my resume, looks at me up and down. I'm the type of person if you look at me like that, I'm already feel disrespected. Don't look at me like that, bro. So I'm there like, okay, cool, whatever. So then the guy goes in and tells me, hey, I see here that you do YouTube, and you also do freelancing on the side. Mind you, this was in 2017. I probably had like 6,000 subscribers. I wasn't nothing big. I mean, I'm still not big, but it is what it is, right? So I'm just like a regular YouTuber. Like I'm not doing nothing crazy, right? So this guy goes in and tells me, well, I believe that, you know, if you're going to work for my company, you should be dedicated to this company. We like to have the guys go home and relax, and you know, maybe on the weekends they can come in, and you know, on a Saturday they could come into work, or they could come in refresh from all of the work that they did throughout the week, and they could just relax on the weekend. This is why we believe that we're paying you enough, you know, with this big salary and this and that. And I'm like, I looked at him, I'll say, you know, thank you. I just got up. I said, thank you. I really appreciate it. You know, but to be honest with you, I'm making already that type of money on my own. And you're telling me to not do this, right? I'm going to give you my 9 to 5, right? That's the time that you have from me. You don't have any more time after that. Like you don't live in my world after 6 o'clock. You know, once I clock out, I don't even know where I work at. You know what I mean? Like that's the mentality that I have. You can't expect me to work on Saturdays. You can't expect me to work on Sundays. You can't expect me to give my freedom, right? Because you don't pay me enough to give away the things that might be beneficial for me in 5 years, 10 years from now. You get what I'm saying? And like, I just never look back. That was the last time I had an interview, and that was like 3.5 years ago. And yeah, man, people go through that all the time, especially like, you know, you go in and you share things on YouTube. Some companies, they think that you're going to go in and divulge like information about the company, but it also too, it shows you what type of company they are. Are they going to be a good company for you? What's the culture in that company? You don't want to be there anyways. You know, it's like, thank you for the opportunity. But I'm out of here. Like, I'm not taking this job. Like, y'all want to really control people, what they do after 6 o'clock? Like, you bugging, you know, like, like that's my personal time, bro. That's like somebody telling you, like, you can't go to the gym. I don't want you to come into work. Your hands got to be rested. Like, nah, bro, you bugging. Like, like that's not your job to tell me what to do, you know? So definitely anybody that goes through this, don't go to that job, bro. The money's not worth it. They want too much.
And be careful what you sign, because there's definitely some non-disclosure. You can give up your rights to everything you create while you're a YouTuber, or if you create a side project, depending on what you sign off on. And they do, a lot of companies and larger corporations have moonlighting rules. So technically, I guess you could call YouTube moonlighting. And most companies kind of look the other way if it doesn't have anything to do with the company you're working at. But yeah, definitely read out all your employment agreements before signing them. I've had to do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen some people that they send me like some papers, like, Joe, this company just gave me this paper to sign, like one of my students, and I'm like, bro, it's not worth it, bro. Like, you could find better jobs out there. It was more like a, I don't know if it was like NDA, but it was like a contract where it was just saying, hey, like they do phone applications, and it's like it says something like you can't create mobile apps for the next 2 years. I'm like, if you're a mobile developer, how the hell you gonna like what you supposed to be like for the next 2 years, be like in a gas station because you signed some paperwork that they don't want you to be a mobile developer anywhere else because they think you're gonna take their ideas over there. Yeah, you gotta keep track of that, man, for sure. Yeah, guys. One last thing before we jump out of here. I know there's so many people in here that probably gotta go. I know Ania's like, yo, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's probably what, like 3 o'clock in the morning right now. You know, for my boy Code Story is like 5 right now. Right now he's looking for the Red Bull. It's like, yo, anybody could pass me a Red Bull through here. Like, so before we leave, right? I want to have 2 questions, right? What are you excited for in 2021, right? So that's the first question. And then the next question is, you could talk a little bit about your channel. So we're going to go in order. We're going to start with Code Stories. Tell us what you're excited for in 2021, and then tell us a little bit about your channel. By the way, guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification on this channel. We do a lot of cool things. I'm a cool dude. Subscribe to me, please. Show some love. Okay. So at the end of the day, also in the description, every link in there is for everybody's channel. Automatically, if you click on the link on the browser, it's gonna help you subscribe. So show love to everybody that's in here. Okay, go subscribe to them. Okay, so go ahead, Code Stories.
Yeah, so for 2021, I'm really looking forward to meeting people again. So I'm also running, managing a meetup. It's called Swift Dev Ninjas here in Berlin, and I really hope we can meet in 2021 again and just have this face-to-face experience we had at the beginning of the year. So that's definitely something I would love to do in 2021. And yeah, about my channel, Code Stories. So my channel, I share my experience as a self-taught software developer, how I got into tech, how I got into software development, and I just give some advice, tips, how you can become a better developer, how you can land a job in software development. And so while doing that, I was thinking about, hey, you know what, I might have to bring other people in and just also let them talk about what they have experienced as a software developer or whatever they're doing in tech. So I didn't want it to just stick to software development. That's why I was bringing everybody from all departments, Scrum Masters, product owner, product manager, UI, UX designer, QA, even HR people coming to the channel, just talking about their experience in tech. Because I think tech is not just about software development. There are other really great things you can do in tech. And there are a lot of people who think about tech as being a place where you have to be really geeky, you have to be really technically well established, but it doesn't have to be that case. So if you're not the kind of person who likes to sit in front of the computer the whole day, multiple hours, and just writing code, you can do Scrum Master, you can do product owner, do something else. So that's why I'm doing this. On my channel, I'm doing a podcast where people from all departments come to share their experience. And so I doing on YouTube and have us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. My content is also available. And by the way, if you speak German, I also have a YouTube channel in German. It's called Code Stories DE. DE stands for Deutschland. That's Germany. So if you speak German, or you know people who speak German, and they're interested in tech jobs and topics about tech, and they can look into that also. That's it for me. Thank you.
My mom is German, by the way. So
oh, great.
I don't speak.
Yes, good.
Yeah, I can understand a little bit, but I don't speak German. So, yeah. So 2021. So personally, I'm looking forward to quitting my day job. Technically, I'm going to be getting into Next.js. I'm kind of excited about Next.js. So there'll be a lot more of that content on my YouTube channel. So check that out, CodeSTACKr. I also am looking forward to some in-person stuff, hopefully some meetups, some tech conferences, stuff like that. I've never actually been to any tech conferences, so that's something I hope we'll be able to do in 2021. Other than that, I'll be putting out some more courses, just working on the whole business side of this. I've always worked for an employer, so now I'm doing the YouTube thing and the courses and all this. I'm trying to figure out all the business side of things. So I just plan on getting that up and going a lot better in 2021.
Nice. How about you, Dorian?
I just plan on growing the YouTube thing, keep working my regular day job for the time being. Pretty happy there for now. I'm learning a lot. Every day I learn a little bit more and a little bit more. And I eventually want to start dabbling with some tutorials. I've done a few free code camp walkthroughs, and I plan on doing like the whole series on that. I had a hiccup with my office and I had to move into the guest room. So plans changed a little bit, but I'm going to keep hitting it hard. And my big goal for 2021 is hopefully to hit 25K. I've had some pretty good growth over the last few weeks, and it's pretty surprising because I never thought when I started this channel that it would grow the way it has, and I'm really happy. And yeah, just gonna keep doing my thing on YouTube and see how it goes. I'm enjoying it a lot, and getting to network with a lot of people that I looked up to and people that are way bigger than I am now is really cool. And doing these things is awesome. I'm just so happy to be here, to be honest.
You know how I do it. I come in here and I freestyle this. So I know we're about to end, but this is a good idea, good topic, good question I just got in my head. How many of you guys work still as developers full-time for a company? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Cold Story 7. So only me and Dennis don't work full-time for anybody? Or you working full-time, Dennis? Yeah.
No, I'm a stay-at-home husband now. Make sure the house is clean, take orders from my wife.
No, that's hot. So pretty much almost everybody in here still works as developers for a company. And this is something that's pretty cool, and why I asked is because sometimes people think that you see somebody on YouTube and like they're not really developers. They're like, this guy, somebody writing code for them, or they got a ghost writer, or this and that. It's like all of the people that you see here are still active in development, still working. So even though there might be big, even though their channels is blowing up, like a lot of the guys here, they're still working. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool because it actually shows like, hey guys, like, just because you're getting a little YouTube famous doesn't mean that you want to quit your job. Some people like their job, and some people might say, you know what, I'll think about this maybe in the future, but right now I enjoy my job and what I have. I myself, I don't work for nobody for like the last 3 years, and that's a different journey, right? But I didn't come to this conclusion just like from 1 year or from one day to another. It was like literally like 6-7 years of planning, right? So it's like, what I mean? It wasn't like instantly. Sometimes people think that you come to YouTube and automatically you quit your job. It's like, nah, bro, if you're enjoying your job and you work for a good company, why should you quit your job if you could do this part-time and still have fun with your job, So definitely it's a really good question in there. People was asking that. It's like, how many guys here are still working? It's like, bro, I'm pretty sure almost everybody in here still works. I thought I was the only one that wasn't working for anybody. But yeah, man, that's cool, man. So how about you, Dennis? Tell us, what you excited about in 2021, and then at the same time, like tell us about your channel. What you doing in there?
Yeah, so I'm gonna repeat what Jesse just said. It was the meetups. Like I don't feel like the YouTube community, at least the tech YouTube community, was that close before like the last couple of months. But I'm excited to, if we can get together, do some kind of Vegas thing where everyone flies in, do some kind of conference, something on a big scale. Like I'm really hoping for that. That'd be really cool to see. So that's kind of something I'm looking forward to in 2021. But as far as the channel, like my personal channel, I'm still going to be producing a lot of Python and Django videos, and I really want to go into talks like this and live streaming a lot more, just because the first year I went from like 0 to 94,000 almost in a year in subscribers. So now that I was able to actually make some money with this, take that pressure off me, I just want to relax a little bit and put out, I hope to put out better content, something that maybe I don't feel like I have such a rush deadline. Just take it easy and continue doing what I'm doing, but at a much more relaxed pace. It was a lot of pressure this last year. I had to take all my savings after I quit and just go into it. So we'll see the difference.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, man. That's how.
I like this idea of like going down to Vegas. Joe, you drop a dime, come down to
Yeah,
Vegas
of course,
for the weekend?
man. I'm so glad, that now we have this community. It's crazy because I've been saying this for years, man. And Erik knows I've been talking about this for years. I'm like, I feel like even for everything from the Discord and the whole shebang and everything, etc. Right? Like, it's really great that people have now come closer, and the new developers, like guys like Dennis, Ivy, CodeSTACKr, right? Coder, Ania, right? A lot of the new people that's coming in, I really love the fact that you guys are so open to collaborate and so open to share ideas. I've been doing this for a while. You know what I'm saying? I've been here since 2017, right? When I came in, the only people collaborating was me, Chris Sean, and Erik. That's it. Everybody that was in here, everybody thought at some moment, oh, we can't share our audience, or hey, we can't collaborate with this person, or this and that. Everybody's all to their own. But even, this moment right now, having all of you guys here kind of proves like everything I've been saying for freaking almost 4 years is exactly right. Like, we should have been doing this for a long time, right? So I really appreciate that all of you guys are coming down and so open. Like, hey, it's like, why not do a collaboration? Why not work with each other? Like, the industry actually grows more when more people work together. Same thing if I collaborate with CodeSTACKr, most of my people get to know him. If we collaborate on his channel, most of his people is also going to know me. There's a space for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Somebody wants to learn about the MERN stack, want to learn about CSS, want to learn about all these things, can go to Jesse. Somebody that wants to focus on how can I make income independently as a developer, shoot, they might see me and say, let me go work with Coding Phase. Let me see what he got to offer. Same thing with Dennis. There's people that love Python, and you know what? I might not be the Python guy. You got Dennis. You might go in and learn more from him and his journey. So I think that the idea of creating a conference, creating something big like that, it will be something that will be amazing. I'm all for it. I was kind of talking about last year about doing like a Coding Phase retreat where we just rent the mansion and bring like a couple of my subscribers. But man, if we was to get a conference, like, yo, because when you think about it, you look at channels and what's that name of that conference, VidCon and things like that. Like, people that's in the tech community are actually accustomed to going to conferences. So if anybody can really set up a conference, it's really us. We could really make some waves. So, shout out to Jesse for bringing up the idea. Shout out for Dennis for, double dipping on it and saying, you know what? That's a great idea, kid. Let's get in there. I'm all for it, man. Okay. I can't wait for 2021, man. Somebody set that up. All right.
We'll let Danny.
I got a lot of hookups in Vegas too. So.
Listen, man, I'm all for that blackjack. I'm all for that hitting that craps and hitting that roulette. My numbers is 17 and 36. You know what I mean? So we're gonna make some money. I got you. So how about you, Danny? What you think about this 2021? What you excited about, right? And talk about your channel.
Honestly, I'll be the first one to say I'm a workaholic. Like, I work way harder than I probably should, and I would never advise that for everybody, but that's just who I am as a human being. But I've got some big goals this year. One of my biggest goals was a personal goal, was to be on the Code Newbie podcast. They just dropped the episode on Monday, and ratings right now, according to iTunes, is one of their most popular episodes ever. So if you want to check something out like that, that's awesome. I highly recommend it. A lot of people have enjoyed it. But I mean, I plan to do meetups. I'm big on meetups. Last year I did 27 meetups. I'm going to try and recreate that number as close as possible. I did 2 free conferences last year as well. I want to at least mimic that number, if not increase it. I have to see how the landscape goes. I would love for us to go back to in-person meetups. I genuinely miss in-person meetups. We held so many meetups where people got jobs or got resources or met people and networked. And I really miss and I love that. So hopefully we get to do that again if, you know, the climate changes. I will say, job-wise, I'm on track right now to become an L4 engineer. So I'm trying to hit all my goals that I have. You know, kind of what you touched on before, and I was talking about this in the chat with a bunch of people. I think some people come into tech, it is absolutely possible to make a phenomenal living in tech on your own. And some people really just don't want to deal with that headache of like running a business and taking all that on their own without having a team to lay that responsibility on. I think different things work for other people. I'm not really in the mindset of trying to run my own company. I can theoretically if I wanted to, but I really enjoy working where I am right now. So I don't have any intentions of leaving that anytime soon. But different strokes for different folks. And if that's something that you love, absolutely do it. There's definitely paths to do it. Or you could just set up things on the side to make side income. Like it doesn't have to be like you need to do it all or nothing. But different things for different people. I will say, and I kind of want to brag on the panel that we have here, like Code Stories, phenomenal human being. We've been buddies for a while now. His podcast drops straight gems. And I love the guy. Like we talk all the time and amazing human being. Coder, if you haven't checked out her latest video, incredible beyond belief. Like I feel like I've joined a cult the way I talk about it, but like absolutely next level stuff. Jesse, I mean, his content is phenomenal. Program with Erik, and also he has a great VS Code stories. VS Code superhero course. You should definitely check out. Raise my VS Code level to another degree. Programming with Erik, phenomenal view course. He was actually part of the giveaway that I just did. Dorian's got some amazing content that he's been dropping. Ania is a game developer like no other. Amazing JavaScript content. And there's Dennis. But also there's, no, honestly, Dennis, we all know his content is beyond phenomenal. I just did a live stream with him not too long ago on his channel. It was fantastic. Also, one more shout out to somebody in the chat. My brother, One Syrian, he's also from Memphis. We've done meetups together. We've done events together. He has an amazing YouTube channel called Coding Pads where he's trying to give advice for people trying to land in the industry. Not just to land in the industry, but once you get there, how do you thrive in this industry? So I definitely recommend checking him out. But honestly, one thing that Joe touched on, the community has come together. We've grown together and we're helping people out. And that's what it's all about. I'm just here because I want to see someone succeed. Simple as that. I want to do a happy dance for you. Give me a reason to do it and I'll do it. Simple as that.
Nice. Well, can we get a little happy dance right now from Yo, my boy D Thompson right now, viral. Like I see him everywhere. It's like somebody comes in, it's like, yo, when my code just hits, when I get to push my code, like that's the meme. You know what I mean?
So funny. I just put that little GIF out or whatever, just a little image of me just doing a shoulder shuffle. Someone snatched it, threw it up on like Giphy and everywhere else, and for like 2 months I saw it everywhere. Like it was so bad that like now upper management at my company uses that GIF as a reaction. Like I don't know who did it and how they got. I just put it up on like LinkedIn and all over Twitter. It was everywhere. But I'm just happy that people enjoy it.
No, that's how. That's great promotion, man. And that's it. We got a living legend, a walking meme. You know what I mean? Like, so shout out to my boy Danny, yo. So yeah, Coder, talk about 2021. What you excited about, and then at the same time, tell us about your channel. Like, what can people look forward to in there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I think everyone else here, I'm looking forward to seeing people more in person. It would definitely be awesome to have some kind of in-person conference with, everyone here plus others. So that would be, that'd be great. In addition to that, I'm working on a course in responsive design. So I'm hoping to release that hopefully in the next few months or so. We'll see. And yeah, my channel, Coder, it's sort of geared towards beginner web developers. So also particularly if you're going the self-taught route. So yeah, HTML, CSS, and basics.
Nice. Definitely, we gotta take a look at that responsive course for sure. I want to see what's your take on that. Plus, I could imagine you guys gonna do something creative in there. Like I would just pay just to see what you guys create. But yeah, man, program with Erik was good, bro. what you excited for 2021, and what's next? View 4, what's going on? What you guys have under the stash?
Yeah. I'm gonna do like a Vue 10 course. Vue's just gonna keep coming out with new versions. I'm gonna keep doing new versions and just sell that. No, I am like Coder. I'm happy to like see other people. Like I'm in Nevada and we've had lockdowns. We're kind of like California a lot, so like I want to go see movies and I want to hang out with my buddies, and I don't have to worry about like regulations of can I even go to this place because they're not allowing any in-person more than 3 people meeting together. So I'm definitely looking forward to that in any sort of meetups or conferences. I don't even know if it's going to happen in 2021. I have a feeling that you might even have to wait until 2022 before conferences come back. But I'm just looking forward to some of that cool stuff. I'm creating some more courses. I released this Vue course where I teach a class of people Vue.js. We like deep dive into it. We do full stack. I'm going to release that probably in March of this year. So I'm really excited about that. And also just doing some fun new YouTube videos. I'm definitely looking forward to that too.
Nice. Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. We got to continue working, get my boy Erik. If you guys don't know, we could say Erik is from my generation, right? When I came into this game of YouTube, it was really just me, Erik, Chris, Sean. So we pretty much started in late 2016, early 2017. So it's great to see you in here, and like you survived in the sense of like just like me and Chris Sean. Like so many people come to YouTube and then they don't find that instant explosion, that viral video, and just give up so quick. But people don't understand that if you come in here for the right reasons, like you're gonna enjoy doing YouTube. Like you don't have to be viral, you don't have to be big, you don't have to do anything. Just come in here, have fun, enjoy it, and create value for people, because that's how you're gonna build like real solid foundation. And I'm super happy to see you in here, man, and grinding it out, man, for real.
Yeah, just bringing it. It's a slow ramp for me for YouTube, and it's been fun. I'm no CodeSTACKr. I know Danny, so it took me a lot longer.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah, for sure. So how about you, Ania? What's going on in 2021? What's going on with your channel? What can we look forward to?
Well, first off, I can't wait to see what you guys have to produce. I've been a big fan of all of you since the beginning of the year, and some of your journeys have just been incredible. So I'm so grateful for you guys putting out content. I think it's amazing. So yeah, keep bringing that on in more doses for 2021. And for my own channel, you know what? I'm just excited to create anything that takes my fancy. So I don't really have a particular plan. If I have a plan, for me, the most important thing is that I actually enjoy what I'm doing. It's not forced. I do have one interesting video coming out. Maybe I'll keep that. No, I'll tell you guys. So it is about the JGS 13K games competition. So I actually get all the winners of that and compile a video, and that's gonna be coming out soon. So some of the entries were just amazing. These guys are like phenomenal developers. What they managed to produce in a 13KB zip file is insane. So yeah, that should be a drop.
That's hot, man. I can't wait. I really want to see that, because I was like looking at that, and I was wondering, because I haven't seen like any other gaming channel or game development channel that have really reached out to everybody. But if you're gonna get everybody in there, man, that's gonna be so hot. And yeah, for sure. For me, I mean, what am I excited for 2021? Very simple. We just started a new agency, 87 Lux. So that's the name of it. The website is 87lux.agency, or you could go to 87lux.com. Currently, right now, the website's not up. We took it down because I wanted to refine some stuff. But I'm excited. We already got 2 clients that we're working with, and it's going to be on a consistent basis. At the same time, we're going to be doing themes and applications for Shopify. So that's what going to be my most, 100% focus is, probably 80. And then I got codingphase.com, which is bubbling, is getting, pretty big. Like we got some crazy numbers in there right now. But I'm super excited about those things in just 2021. I can't wait until at least we could just get outside, you know what I mean? Where I could just go in and be like, yo, guys, come outside, come out to play. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't wait for that. And just to have fun. I want to travel. I want to go to freaking the UK. I want to touch down in Thailand. This is one of the dreams that I've been wanting to do, like, you know, do that whole digital nomad run. So my goal is somewhere in April, I'm gonna go from here to the UK, from Tampa to the UK. Then from there, I'm gonna go to Thailand. Then from there, I'm gonna go to the Philippines. From the Philippines, I'm gonna go to Tokyo, and then come back. I don't know where I'm gonna land. I'm probably gonna land in freaking California, probably. But I'm super excited for that. You know, wish me luck. Cross your fingers. Joe don't catch Corona on the way. It's like, damn, Joe went around the globe, caught Corona halfway through. You know what I mean? Somebody do a GoFundMe for him. You know what I mean? Like, so, hopefully that's not the story for 2021. But, you know, it's going to be something cool. And it's going to be exciting. Again, 87 Lux, that's the agency. Check that out for those of you guys that are interested on making income on your own, because technically everything that I'm doing, everybody that's watching this can do themselves. So I'm not doing anything special. I'm not like I'm not the guy on a conference. I'm not the guy creating libraries. I'm the guy that could get the job done. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much if you think like that, you could pretty much build anything that you could think of or you could imagine. So there's no limitation, guys. So yeah, man, that's why I'm super excited. And again, guys, I want to say thank you to everybody that's in here. We had a great panel. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of freestyle moments, but this is what makes the channel special and people love, you know what I mean? So definitely thanks to everybody in here, especially Code Stories and Ania staying up. They're staying up past their bedtime. You know, right now, wifey's telling Code Stories like, yo, come to sleep. Ania probably boyfriend's in there like, yo, come on, man, we gotta go to work tomorrow. We gotta do. We're going out to eat tomorrow. You're keeping me up now. But you know what? Thank you to you guys for coming through. CodeSTACKr for sure. Super helpful dude, man. I really love your channel. Dorian, man, check out Dorian. Everybody go check out Dorian. Subscribe to Dorian. He's killing it. His channel is bubbling up. He got a lot of good quality content in there. Again, go check out Dennis Ivy. Dennis is already bubbling. You know what I mean? He's the next one, the golden kid. You know what I mean? So make sure you go check him out before he blows up and he don't remember nobody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm joking, but shout out to Danny Thompson for sure. Okay. You already know, Twitter superstar, the walking meme, aka the Mr. Motivation, aka he does everything, aka he'll get you there. You know what I mean? And then from there, of course, we got the Coder. Thank you for coming through, man. I really appreciate it. You guys coming in here, man. And yeah, man, we're out of here, guys. Peace.